Japan is struggling to create a response to the popularity of Bitcoin, saying that while the digital currency isn't legal tender, it might be taxable and subject to money laundering controls. Reuters reports that 1 week after the collapse of Tokyo-based Bitcoin exchange Mt. Gox, Japanese officials have released their first detailed response to the bankruptcy. A special musical celebration featuring guest appearances from popular faces of the Liberty Movement will happen this evening at Brave New Books in Austin. Music will be performed by popular Liberty rockers Jordan Page and Tatiana Moraz from 6 until 10. Expected to be in attendance are special guests of the evening, independent journalist Luke Rudowski of We Are Change and Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante. Everyone is invited to attend. Admission is free. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Incorporated, specializing in precious metals since 1977. They don't feed the banks by taking credit cards, but you can bet they take Bitcoin. Online at rrbi.co or by phone 800-874-9760. Support also comes from Central Texas Gunworks. Online, centraltexasgunworks.com. And support comes from Cabo Bob's, Southwest burritos with homemade tortillas. Online at cabobobs.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, March 7th, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. Defense lawyers in the case of Barrett Brown won a huge victory recently when the judge dismissed the majority of charges against the controversial journalist. Brown has been held since September 12, 2012 under suspicion of sharing information related to a leak from private intelligence firm Stratfor, as well as supposedly making online threats to an FBI agent. On Tuesday, the government dismissed 11 charges against Brown, including 10 counts of aggravated identity theft. Brown still faces a maximum of 70 years if convicted on all charges. A new study suggests that adolescents who experience harsh verbal discipline may have more depression symptoms and behavioral problems. The study was released by the University of Pittsburgh School of Education and of Psychology and published in the online journal Child Development. The researchers concluded that the effects of young adults experiencing verbal discipline were comparable to the effects of young adults dealing with physical discipline. The head of Smart Balance Butter Spreads has announced his company's plans to voluntarily begin using only non-genetically modified ingredients starting immediately. Stephen Hughes, chief executive of Boulder Brands, the parent company of Smart Balance, commented on the changes, saying they won't affect the price of products and should be completed by summer. Non-GMO Smart Balance will be made from oils from non-GMO seeds. Support for Liberty Beat comes from GrowYourOwnGroceries.org. Learn to grow, prepare, and preserve your own food and medicine at GrowYourOwnGroceries.org. And support comes from the 512 Bitcoin Mini Conference and Launch Party, featuring wallet setup, women's panel, Cody Wilson, and more. That happens Sunday, March 9th, this coming Sunday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Brave New Books. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, March 7th, 2014. I'm Brian Hagan reporting, reminding you to spread liberty with a smile.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
This is Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 450-3733 as we launch into this live Saturday edition of the program. I have returned to the Keene-based studios after most of the week being spent in Texas. Kind of week for me, which was fun. Got to go to Austin for the Texas Bitcoin Conference. If you missed those episodes, just go to freetalklive.com and grab Wednesday and Thursday night. Also, if you want to hear Daryl hosting the show in the main seat, you can grab Tuesday and Friday night of this last week. It sounded like you guys were having fun on those nights.
Oh, we were.
I caught some of last night's on the way home.
Did you catch any of Tuesday?
A little bit, not as much as of Friday. But, we were on the road, we're having a good time in Austin. It was great. There were lots of Liberty people at this event. It was a Bitcoin conference, but it was heavily infiltrated, if you will, by people with a pro-Liberty mindset, which I was, really grateful for, because I think that it's important to meld those two ideas together as much as possible.
What percentage would you say was Liberty people at the Bitcoin event?
It would be impossible for me to make a claim like that because I don't know everyone at the event. I mean, there were hundreds of people there. I knew dozens of them, maybe like 24 of them. They were recognizable to me. Some I know more than others. Like,
right.
I don't know Tatiana Moroz, but I got to meet her. She was there. Jordan
You know
Page.
who she is.
Yes.
You know who he is.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like a couple dozen people who I know and maybe like a dozen who I actually have had several conversations with. Michelle Seven was there, former co-host of Free Talk Live.
I miss her.
Yeah, so do I. I had a lot of fun hanging out with her. She is doing great. She's now the Bitcoin Belle, so she's totally taken her focus of activism and has been focusing in on Bitcoin and using Bitcoin as kind of a wedge to bring people to the ideas of liberty. And she says that it's been her most successful method of introducing people to the ideas of freedom. So I think it's great. And the more infiltration the liberty movement can have in the Bitcoin world, the better off everybody's going to be, because Bitcoin is just such an important topic for our time, and it's such an important development. You've got an interesting story about Bitcoins we can come up with here in a moment. But first, an update on a story we covered, I don't know, it must have been a couple years ago now at this point, because this guy spoke at last year's Liberty Forum. Am I correct about that? So his name is Essam Attia, and according to the story over at animalnewyork.com, last we heard from Essam Attia, the artist who gained notoriety for placing forged posters advertising a fictional NYPD drone campaign around New York, had been arrested and was facing a litany of felonies for his exploits. So just to describe the posters for you, in case you weren't tuned in on the nights that we were talking about this, they use the NYPD logo with like the badge-looking kind of logo, NYPD, and there were different size posters and sort of different orientations. There's kind of like the widescreen format and the tall format. So he had different types of posters.
That would be portrait and landscape.
There you go. And then basically the look of it is essentially all silhouettes. So there's a silhouette of a drone, it's all blue in the background, black silhouette of a drone, the kind of the family running with like a mom, a dad, and a kid all holding hands kind of running across the street look to it. That silhouette is also on there. So the drone is chasing down these people. And then if you've ever been in big cities like New York, there are these ubiquitous iPod advertisements that are everywhere, or at least they were for a period of time. I don't know how popular they are now. I don't live in New York City, but usually they're pretty noticeable because they've got the silhouette, and then like the person has the white earbuds and the white kind of cord that trails down.
Yes.
So this is done in the same way, where everything's black silhouetted in the picture except for the drone, the bomb coming from the drone has a white tracer on it essentially, and it kind of loops, and then there's a white image of a bomb going towards the family. So really a noticeable kind of creative artistic endeavor, and they came after him pretty hardcore with felony charges. According to the story here at animalnewyork.com, they threw a party to raise money for his defense. At a court appearance on Monday, he learned that all charges against him had been dismissed. He said, "I'm doing pretty spectacular," he told Animal in a phone conversation Wednesday night. "It was actually a surprise to my attorney and I both. We were sort of expecting it to be prolonged again, adjourned again, or the judge would be kind of a hard ass and would want to send it to trial. Initially, Essam faced 5 charges, 3 of which were felonies. He estimates that if convicted on all of them, a worst-case scenario would land him in jail. In November, however, all of the felony charges, including one apparently trumped-up count of possession of stolen property for an antique firearm that Essam says belonged to his great-grandfather, were either dropped or reduced to misdemeanors. He said, "It seemed to me like it was just made up," he says, of the stolen gun charge. Though the arrest happened over a year ago, Essam's case hadn't yet seen trial when it was dismissed this week. The mysterious drone artist story attracted significant attention in late 2012, and according to the street artist, his attorney deliberately prolonged court proceedings to let the media hype cool down and for people to forget about it before the state made any decisions. The strategy apparently worked. The assistant district attorney, I guess, had bigger fish to fry. It was old enough news that it didn't matter anymore. You know, I disagree with that strategy. That doesn't make any sense to me. That his attorney, he's saying his attorney said, well, let's draw this out, make it so the media dies down in the hopes that a better situation would result.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree for that reason. I do think that on a case that's not, of major significance, drawing it out can be beneficial. Because, as happened or as was suggested, the judge might realize, this isn't really that important. I don't know why we're still focusing on this. It happened a year and a half ago. I'm just going to let you go.
But this isn't one of those cases. I mean, this was a really important case.
Right.
This was the biggest police department in the country going after one of their most noteworthy critics for using their own logo. And generally, that's considered some sort of crazy copyright violation.
I don't know if it was that they went after him for using the logo.
Yeah, I don't know what the charges were.
As much as it was they went after him for breaking open the cases on the bus stops.
Oh.
And then putting the posters in the cases of the bus stops.
Interesting. So I didn't know that was part of the story. I didn't realize he was actually breaking into to the cases. I thought that he had legitimately purchased the ad space. I guess
no. It is my understanding that this was street art.
Now, well, it definitely is street art, but it looks
right.
Very, very
but if
professional.
you purchase the advertising, then it's technically not street art.
Yeah.
Then it's purchasing an ad.
Did he put them though? I wonder over top of empties. Like empty kind of
I don't know if it was
areas?
over top of empties or it could have been over top of the NYPD recruitment
over
posters
their own advertising
that are actually out there.
That would be interesting. I don't agree necessarily with his attorney on this that it should have been drawn out to make the media cool down. To me, it seems like when there's media attention, judges are more likely to be cautious about the decision that they make. And judges are more likely to throw out bad cases. So either way, it's good news that the charges have been dropped. And as to whether he'll use his newfound liberty to continue making art, Essam says, quote, "I think I'll leave that to be seen," unquote. So
what does that mean?
Means maybe he's got something in the works and he doesn't want to talk about it. Whatever he'll be doing next. So great news there. I don't know if there's much to say. I mean, if he was breaking into actual businesses that were advertising on these areas, then I don't agree with that, covering up somebody who's paying for ad space. But if he were doing it to the NYPD's own advertising, I don't care. How do you feel about that?
The same way.
Yeah.
Just, my point is, if it's breaking and entering, then technically, that is a crime.
Mm-hmm.
But
if he's just picking a
love
lock,
the concept of street art as a form of protest.
Absolutely. Well, if he's just picking a lock, like let's say he didn't break a mechanism, right? Because a lot of locks are not complex,
right?
And it doesn't take long for somebody to learn how to pick them. And so if all he was doing was breaking into just a standard keyed lock, then he wouldn't have destroyed anything.
And
in the process
some of these appear to have a couple of screws that you can pull out.
So we'll come back with more here. You can share your thoughts. Also on the way, Los Angeles is banning e-cigarettes. And there's more with lots to share with you tonight here. 855-450-FREE, plus banning the U.S. dollar. It's Free Talk Live.
The following is an important free offer for smokers only. The makers of Victor, the world's most advanced e-cigarette, have just authorized the release of free starter kits to all smokers who call in the next 10 minutes. Valued at $99, these Victor starter kits are available for free, but only while supplies last. To guarantee your free kit, call in the next 10 minutes, 1-800-564-6941. The revolutionary Victor design creates only water vapor. There is no foul-smelling smoke and no unhealthy tar. This allows individuals to enjoy the nicotine they love without restriction, no matter where they are. The financial advantages over cigarettes are considerable as well. It is estimated that the average smoker can save hundreds of dollars a month with Victor. Again, free Victor starter kits are now available to any smoker who calls in the next 10 minutes. This is a radio-only offer not available in stores, so call now for your free kit. 1-800-564-6941. 1-800-564-6941. 1-800-564-6941.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
A meme is not easy to define,
What is it?
but you know it when you see it.
Amazing.
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com proves that.
I feel so enlightened.
Don't Tread on Meme, M-E-M-E, helping you give the finger to our monetary system of deception by providing you with silver dime trading cards. Unlike today's dollar, they have value, and they look neat too.
Oh, would you look at those? Aren't those just swell?
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. While you're browsing their numerous silver dime card designs, take time to download the easy-to-use Silver Calculator app. This simple piece of technology lets you know instantly, whether using iPhone or Android, just how much your silver coin is worth. Find out all the details at Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. Now accepting Bitcoin. Don't Tread on Meme, your path to a voluntary society with honest money. Don'tTreadOnMeme.com, serving you faster than the Fed prints money.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. MineThings.com is a fun online game that pits you against people around the world to mine for scarce resources. Do business in a capitalist economy with virtually mined gold, tax-free. It doesn't require a big time commitment. Your little mining robot guy works whether you're logged in or not. It costs nothing to play, but you can buy bonuses. They even accept bitcoins. Go to MineThings.com, use coupon code FTL, and double your mining speed. It's free. MineThings.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves right here. Toll free 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us online at freetalklive.com and enjoy the features there. We've got archives that go back for years. You can just click and download, and they are yours for free at freetalklive.com, so enjoy those. And at coffee.freetalklive.com, you can get a free pound of the best coffee. It's called BuzzBox, and it's shade-grown, 100% organic, and top 1% grade Arabica. Coffee is a very absorbent crop, which means the organic certification is that much more important here. And BuzzBox is competitively priced with other high-end coffees, but they do something that other coffee producers just don't seem to care about. At BuzzBox, they set up a program that allows people around the world to buy into their co-op. Free Talk Live is attempting to recruit 1,000 listeners like you who love coffee to order your coffee from coffee.freetalklive.com, allowing us to help finance 100 microloans through World Vision. We can help change lives by offering people in poverty an opportunity to change their own lives. You can get started now. Get your free pound of coffee. You do have to pay the shipping cost. You can cancel the subscription at any time. Coffee.freetalklive.com. Again, coffee.freetalklive.com. So again, you can, of course, take control of the airwaves. There's a lot to discuss here tonight. We were talking about Essam having the charges dropped. And I don't know if there's really an issue on this one, unless you think this guy should be prosecuted for putting up critical artwork about the New York Police Department. I imagine there could be somebody out there in our audience who feels that way. Again, if he was breaking into property and replacing paid advertising from private companies, I would have a problem with that. I would consider that basically vandalism. But if he were just putting his posters in empty poster holders, I don't see what the problem is there. Or if he were overriding or putting his posters over top of existing NYPD recruiting posters or propaganda posters, I certainly don't have a problem with that. I would openly support something like that.
And another question is, who actually owns the bus stop vending, or not vending area, but the bus stop area that has the advertisement?
Well, not
is that government owned or is it privately owned?
A lot of the bus stop, I think, areas would be government owned, but the billboard areas of those zones would likely be run by CBS News, or not CBS News, but there's CBS Billboard and Clear Channel Billboard. So there are major billboard companies that likely are renting that space.
Renting from the government.
Presumably. Yeah.
Which then theoretically makes it government property.
Yeah, a little bit less so, though. I mean, because it is still privately controlled. And if you wanted to put an advertisement in that area, let's say for some of your books that you sell over at fpp.cc, if you wanted to advertise your books there, you might be upset that somebody went ahead and covered that up. Now, of course, the company would probably do the right thing and give you a make good. So if this guy went there and covered it up for 2 weeks and you paid for those 2 weeks, you'd probably get an extra 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. But that's that's still, I think, would be wrong of him to do. But I guess it brings up a larger question of, is it really vandalism if you're destroying government property? If you are,
that's the point I was trying to make.
Well, I mean, what do you think? I mean, because if it's private property that's sort of placed legally on government property, that's not the same as just tearing down an NYPD recruiting poster or something
right.
like that.
And I don't think that any government should be in the business of business.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here in Keene, I've got the list of all government-owned properties, and there's at least 5 properties that the city leases out to private entities. So in some respect, the government is in the business of business.
That bothers me.
And they shouldn't be.
That bothers me, but that doesn't mean that it would be okay to go over and tag the wall of that business.
Right.
Right. So to some extent, I think that a private business needs to be respected, even if they are renting from the government. So, for instance, there's a business, I think, is Corner News.
Corner News rents from the city.
So we're here in Keene, New Hampshire. There's a little shop that I love personally. I think it's a great little shop.
Oh, so do I.
That rents a spot from the city, and it's a great location. Like it's right in the heart of downtown Keene. It's on Main Street. It's a very conspicuous building, and it's like right near where the Greyhound bus kind of stop is, and it's a fairly well-trafficked area. I would want to be in a place like that too if I were going to run a little news store with kind of a pipe shop inside it.
Yes.
And I think it's a great location. The owner is wonderful. She actually accepts Bitcoin. She sells silver on her location. We actually had somebody, Robert Mathias, one of the newer movers for the Free State Project, went in there and actually purchased silver with Bitcoin at this location. So, I mean, it's kind of I wouldn't necessarily say she's a principled libertarian, but she's friendly and she's willing to listen. And she's willing to hear and kind of embrace new ideas. So I would never want to see anything, any harm come to her store.
Right, and I wasn't trying to say that I condone people that vandalize private property that's inside government property.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that governments should not have property that they are then leasing to private entities.
I totally agree. But I still want to ask, I guess the larger question is vandalizing government property, just straight up government property?
So it's City Hall.
City Hall, or in this case, Essam allegedly breaking into government-run or government billboards or something like that. Is that a problem? Is there something wrong with that? Is there a moral issue there with doing things to government? And it could be something like filling the locks of the government offices with epoxy so they can't get in the morning. They can't open the doors. Creative stuff like that. That's not necessarily open, obvious vandalism that everyone's going to see,
right?
But just kind of throwing a wrench into the system, monkey wrenching, if you will. Is there a moral problem with that? Hacking a government computer system, taking down, some sort of internal computer system that will really just ruin their day and make it so they have to spend time and effort and money, I guess, in some cases. Some could argue that if you're spending taxpayer dollars with that, or if they spend taxpayer dollars to try to correct that would be morally objectionable. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's one of those things to where I see both sides of the argument, and both sides make a very compelling argument, and I just can't really make up my mind.
Throwing a bunch of this probably wouldn't work. You probably need something more hardcore, but like putting nails underneath the cars of police cars, or like wherever it is the police like to kind of sit and do their shooting people as they're going by with radar, the speed trap areas, just throwing a bunch of sharp nails or pieces of glass down there to where it might pop the tires on the car. Of course, you might also put somebody else in jeopardy doing something like that.
Right.
But I'm just kind of throwing out ideas of things that would cost them time and money and inconvenience them, and thereby maybe make it so more of us aren't as inconvenienced by them.
Right.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if you want to share your thoughts on that, 855-450-FREE. So let's presume that Essam, the artist here, put his artwork into locations that were over top of existing NYPD recruiting flyers or recruiting posters.
I'd be completely okay with that.
Is that okay? Even if you had to break into a lock, even if you had to pick a lock to get into those locations. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. That's 855-450-3733. And if that's okay, then how far with vandalizing government property, how far would you go with that? Or would you support someone else going with that? More coming up here. You can share your thoughts on Free Talk Live.
There are many things the human body can do very well, but maintaining the proper pH level isn't always one of them. That's where AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops can make a world of difference. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops helps your body do what's natural. Just a few drops a day helps rid your body of harmful waste and acid while promoting health and restoring vibrance and energy. Alkalizing boosts your immune system and can help fight headaches, irritability, cramping, and insomnia. Alkalizing also helps the body fight depression and even bone loss. To learn more about the importance of alkalizing and how you can find life-changing and vital balance, please visit AlkaVision's brand new website at alkavision.com. Same great products, but now easier to use and more informative than ever before. To get your very own plasma pH drops for just $29.95, call 800-518-7615 or visit alkavision.com. That's ALKA vision.com. Alkalize your body and supercharge your health at the new alkavision.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Shiny badges on your jacket. Shiny badges start a conversation with your neighbor or your doctor or your family or your school. Now there's teachers and lawyers and business executives, and they all wear shiny badges and they all reject the state. Shiny badges on your jacket. Shiny badges show the world that you reject coercion and aggression and oppression by the state. ShinyBadges.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
Immigrating to the Shire was easy. I was instantly plugged into a community of individuals who also care about peace, liberty, and justice and are willing to do something about it.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want right here, toll free, at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're going to go right into your phone calls here shortly, but I also want to let you know about blockchain.info, the most important Bitcoin site on the internet. It has among it a legion of tools, including the best online Bitcoin wallet, interfaces with their easy-to-use Android application. Unfortunately, the iPhone company, Apple, they are not wanting you to have access to Bitcoin, so they banned blockchain.info's app. But you can still access their website through your browser on your favorite iPhone or iPad device. Blockchain.info makes it so easy to send and receive Bitcoins, and their wallet has tools to allow you to do that anonymously as well, which is very useful. You do have to pay a small fee in order to send anonymously, but blockchain.info makes it so easy, and the FBI and NSA do not have access to your money. In fact, not even blockchain has access to your wallet because your wallet is encrypted and decrypted in your browser. Blockchain.info. You can go get your Bitcoin wallet right now for free. Let's go to the phones and the fun. First up, we've got Don listening in Yorktown, Virginia to WNIS. Hey, Don.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Just wanted to talk about that guy, Essam, one of the, and by the way, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
One of the things that y'all didn't mention is the sensationalism of what he was trying to capture by doing what he was doing. And that's probably what the district attorney and the rest of them looked at it. All they would wind up doing is furthering his cause by bringing it into court and turning it into a media farce.
Oh, yeah, it would be a
giving
circus.
Him all the recognition. Yeah, giving him all the recognition that he probably wanted. And that's the reason why he probably did it. And they figured, the lesser of two evils. And, he broke into a couple places but probably didn't steal anything, just did some vandalism, and that was it, according to them. And for that, it's not worth furthering this cause.
Well, I don't know if his intention was to get caught. I don't believe that it was, because he was trying to be careful. When he granted an interview with, I think it was Animal, the company that we were reading the update from, but when he originally granted an interview, it was done in silhouette, so you could not, and they changed his voice, so you couldn't hear who he was. You wouldn't be able to necessarily know who he was. they did, put a lot of investigative powers on this case, and they uncovered who he was based on a few of the hints that I guess he dropped. But I think there's no real evidence to suggest that he wanted to be publicized about this. But ultimately, that's what happened, and I think that from that perspective, you're right. They stepped in it with this prosecution, and then they realized that they should just back down later on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they really want the advertisement against themselves, and they probably didn't want to give him any free advertisement. So sometimes, it's better off just to let something like that go.
I'm with you, Don. Anything else you want to share tonight?
No, that was my only opinion. I appreciate it, fellas.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate hearing from you. Let's go to Robert in Panama City, Florida, listening to WYOO. Hey, Robert.
Hey, how you doing this evening?
What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I was listening to your commentary on the covering up with the posters, and I think that you really run the danger of a slippery slope when you start advocating civil disobedience. I'm pretty much collinear with the way that you guys think, but I think that you crossed a line when you start telling somebody that you can vandalize a government building or something. I mean, pretty soon, it'll escalate, and then all of a sudden you're rationalizing, somebody like Timothy McVeigh, who was, he attacked a government building. So,
well, there were human beings in there who got hurt. I mean, I don't think that, first of all, I wasn't necessarily advocating those things. I was only asking the question of, is it morally acceptable or is it morally wrong to vandalize government property, to essentially monkey wrench in the system? And that's all I was doing. Although I may support some things, I certainly don't support anything that involves harming other human beings. And so, no, I don't think I would escalate to that point. What about you, Darryl?
I think it's a huge. It's a huge.
That's a huge leap. But just take for instance. If you were to epoxy a lock on somebody that was a first responder, or you were to blow out the tires of somebody, what if they were responding to one of your relatives? Those type of things. A lot of times you don't see the damage that gets done.
No, I get what you're saying. My suggestion earlier was to epoxy locks on like a government building,
City Hall,
like City Hall, to prevent them from even going in and going to work in the morning, and then also to only throw the nails down where they would sit for speed traps, which obviously wouldn't be them going to help anybody, would it?
Well, they're there to respond to calls too. They don't just set out there.
The tax collector isn't there to respond to calls.
No, he's talking about the police. He's talking about the policemen in that case. Maybe the police should just change how they behave, right? And then people wouldn't be thinking about stuff like this.
That's true, but we live in a very different climate than our parents did. And I'll tell you, I've always been of the ilk: if it doesn't belong to you, keep your hands off of it.
I totally agree. I wish the police would learn that. They're constantly putting their hands on people's things and taking them from them. There was a great video that Vitaly ZDTV and Roman Atwood put together. These are two YouTube pranksters.
I love those guys.
Where they are funny. Where they actually have a bong and they're on the city streets with a bong and smoking out of a bong, and they get police reacting to this, and the police just come right up and just grab this thing as though they know what it is and they know what's in there. Well, it turns out it was tobacco in the bong, and the bong had never been used to anything except for smoking tobacco, and they were totally...
Well, we have idiot police just like we have idiot criminals, and it's unfortunate that, that's almost become another profession of last resort for a lot of people. And that's a shame, because I know I looked into law enforcement in South Florida and back in the 80s, and they said, well, if you can pass the drug test, we'll take you. And, it's a shame that they said upwards of 80% of the people are not even being able to pass a drug screen to get into the police force.
Robert,
so I'm not saying that the police are always right, but I just would hate if
I would say most of their day the police are doing wrong to people. The average police officer every day is stopping people for speeding or rolling through a stop sign. Every now and then they'll get calls for real crime, but with crime with actual victims. But a lot of the time they're just screwing with people, and that's why people have a real bad taste in their mouth for the police. That's why people are afraid when the police put their sirens on and pull them over. That's why you get your heart pounding, because you know that maybe this will be a rogue cop. Maybe this cop's going to hurt you. Maybe this cop is going to trump up some charges, plant some drugs. You never know what these people are going to do. They're out of control.
I went through the numbers here in Keene last fall, and somewhere near 65% of arrests were for things that had no victim.
Well, if you think it's bad now, wait till it's nationalized. I know they're talking about getting rid of the sheriffs and making all.
Who's talking about that?
There's a big move to here in Florida where everybody's going more towards a military police and more tactical oriented police force. They're going to be changing the uniforms. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon that's kind of scary.
That does sound scary. And there in Florida, it's now a felony, as I understand it, to possess a marijuana or any sort of drug-using pipe. If you get caught a second time, you'll be hit with a felony charge for that. So you're right, and that is something I'm concerned with: the constant militarization of the police. Changing from blue uniforms to black uniforms to camo uniforms, just making them scarier and scarier.
Getting these attack trucks.
Yeah, the Bearcats and the other sort of armored militaristic vehicles with the 50 cal mounted to the top. Very freaky stuff. Robert, thanks for your call tonight. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. That's 855-450-3733. So I wish that we had police that were peace officers. Police that were, their primary motivation is to restore the peace, not to arrest people, not to take someone who has not harmed another person and put them behind bars. I think that's so destructive. And it's not only destructive to our society and individuals in their lives, but also destructive to the way people see the police. If the police want to be respected, they're doing everything but the things that, or they're doing a lot of things that prevent people from respecting them, I guess you could say. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Although every now and then things change and things move in the right direction, like in D.C., where apparently they've decriminalized marijuana. More coming up.
I want to share something important that will not only improve your life, but the lives of many others as well. And all you need to do is drink coffee. I'm not talking about harmful store-bought or chain coffee. No, this is truly the best of the best coffee. We've partnered with Camano Island Coffee Roasters to offer BuzzBox. With every purchase, 10% goes towards our efforts to give the gift of human freedom by providing at least 100 microfinance loans via World Vision. So literally, just one cup at a time, you're having an impact and helping make a difference in the world. And one sip will have you buzzing to family and friends. To prove just how good it is, we're giving a free pound of coffee to everyone in the audience. All you do is cover shipping. Go to coffee.freetalklive.com. BuzzBox coffee is organic, so it contains no pesticides or toxins. It's shade-grown, so less acidity and no heartburn. It's top 1% Arabica grade and gives people the opportunity to own their own coffee farms. Join us in making a huge impact at coffee.freetalklive.com.
Big business has discovered the preparedness market, and that makes it difficult to know where to go and who to trust. MyPatriotSupply.com is owned and operated by patriots just like you. Has the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more. MyPatriotSupply.com has old-fashioned values and the absolute best customer service in the industry. Look for the deal of the day, unique, affordable survival supplies that fit anyone's budget. Get same-day shipping on all orders and free shipping on orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927, 866-229-0927, or visit MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence. Shop with a name you know and a name you can trust. Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com. Have you ever wanted to help a hardworking person get their business off the ground? Then join me in enjoying some BuzzBox coffee. Let's make a difference, 1 cup at a time. Join us in helping people buy their own coffee farms through at least 100 microloans via World Vision. Free Talk Live coffee drinkers will truly change lives forever. To get the best coffee you've ever tasted, it's organic, shade-grown, and top 1% Arabica grade. Go to coffee.freetalklive.com. The first pound's free, just cover shipping.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, bring up anything. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, by the way. You can Skype into the show at username lrn.fm, so feel free to get in touch with us in that way. It's a great way to get on the show because you sound great most of the time on Skype. Unless something is dreadfully wrong with your internet connection, you'll almost always sound better than the phone. So feel free to reach out to us that way or just dial in toll-free at 855-450-FREE. Now, we've talked about Squarespace as a solution for web hosting and developing your website all on your own. You don't have to have some professional developer who's going to charge you 60, 70, 80 bucks an hour just to build a website for you. You can build it all yourself. It's so easy at squarespace.com, and you can get started right now with the free trial account. You can also do commerce, e-commerce. It's currently available in several countries, including the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and more. You can sell any kind of product using a single interface. So you can sell physical product that is shipped. You can also sell digital goods that are delivered via customized email links that expire 24 hours from delivery. So their order management interface lets you easily track outstanding orders, resend customer update emails, and even print packing slips from one single interface. There's an express checkout mode which bypasses the shopping cart interface, and there's just so much to talk about with Squarespace Commerce. There's so many features. There's a 30-second merchant sign up with Stripe, which gives you instant approval and doesn't require any paperwork. You can begin receiving money for purchases via direct deposit in moments. So it just doesn't get easier than Squarespace.com, and Stripe only charges 2.9% plus a 30-cent per successful transaction fee. Those are very reasonable rates for credit card transactions. And Squarespace imposes no additional transaction fees on top of Stripe. They're completely secure, PCI compliant, SSL enabled. You can easily customize your order emails to your customers and so much more. Go learn more at Squarespace.com. You can get started tonight with their free trial account. All you need to do is give them your email address, squarespace.com. Their commerce software, very powerful and very easy to implement, like everything on their website, squarespace.com. Oh, and by the way, use code FTL3 and you'll get 10% off of the hosting there at squarespace.com. Again, so code FTL and the number 3. Let's continue here with your calls and thoughts. We go to the Pizza Guy. He is in North Dakota on Skype. Pizza Guy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Pizza Guy! Yes, hello. I have breaking news from ValleyNewsLive.com.
All right.
Apparently, a cow has escaped in Castleton, North Dakota.
This is important information. Let's get the details out there. Go
yes,
ahead, Pizza.
A cow in Castleton, North Dakota area caused quite a scene Thursday morning after it got loose on its way to the meat processing plant.
Oh.
The Cass County Sheriff's Office got a call that during the transfer of a cow from the farmer to Castleton Cold Storage, the cow was able to get free and began to wander around. Employees from Castleton Cold Storage, along with bystanders, first tried to contain the cow, but were unsuccessful. The Cass County Sheriff's Office contacted Castleton Veterinary Clinic to help get the cow sedated in order to safely contain it. The cow had to be tranquilized 3 times and ended up several blocks away from the original location.
That is a sad story. That's one of those situations. Look, I eat meat, and I appreciate that there are cows out there who are giving their lives so we can have delicious food, and I appreciate that. But this cow was able to escape from a death train, basically, or a death truck is what it sounds like. And I feel like he should have been allowed to have his freedom at that point.
There should be a fugitive cow law to where if the cow is able to successfully break free from either the meat plant or the truck going to the meat plant, that cow should be able to live in the wilderness and get eaten by whatever animal it is that would be the cow's natural predator.
I don't know if we need a law, but I support the general concept of what
we need an underground railroad to Canada for all freed cows. But no, the last sentence in this story is absolutely the best. Central Cass School was notified to keep the kids inside due to the close proximity to the school. The kids were able to be put into a trailer and transported back home. No one was injured and no property was damaged during the incident.
By the way, are you clicking your pen incessantly there?
I stopped. I realized that's a problem. I'm sorry. So, but yeah, if you can imagine, like over the intercom, it's like, I'm sorry, children. Recess is canceled. There's a cow outside. Sorry.
Cow alert. Do they do drills for that in North Dakota? Remember how they'd always put you under your desk?
Tornado drill.
Yeah.
Go out in the hallway and put your head between your knees.
And it was always the same drill, no matter what happened, whether it was like a tornado or a mad gunman. It was always put your head under the desk and etc. Hey, thanks.
All right, fire
Pizza
drill.
Dude.
Everybody line up from tallest to shortest. I guess because the shortest kids don't catch fire as quickly.
Did they really do that? Tallest to shortest?
Or shortest to tallest?
Why?
Because one of the two doesn't catch fire as quickly, I guess. I don't know.
Did they really do that? That's what they did in school? I don't remember that. I don't remember that happening.
When we were in like 3rd grade, that's how they did it.
All right, 855 450 free. You can talk about ridiculous news or whatever you want to share here tonight.
Going back to the cow thing, it reminds me of when I lived in Sedona, Arizona. I was right near the National Forest. And there was a guy that had a bunch of cows. And during a certain time of the year, his cows would roam free. And there was a hole in the fence that divided private property from the National Forest. And the cows would just walk through the hole. And this guy was told that because his cows damaged the fence, he would need to fix it. And he said, no, it's a National Forest. You fix it. And so nobody ever wound up fixing it. But the first time that I woke up and saw cows walking through the yards, I asked my friends that I was living with, I was like, there are cows in the yard? Oh, yeah, that's normal. How is this normal? And then they explained, why. But for a couple of months every year, there would just be cows roaming through people's yards.
You can share your experience, 855 450 free. Let's go to Temper. He's listening in Legal Land. Temper, it was nice to meet you this weekend, or this week, I guess. It was a midweek conference, the Texas Bitcoin conference. Temper was one of the folks who was there as a vendor, and he was sharing his mybtc.cc credit card concept. What's on your mind tonight, Temper?
I just wanted to call and say I thought that the Texas Bitcoin conference was pretty cool. It brought light to kind of a fallacy in my thinking for getting investors in this project. What would usually happen is I would talk about the card, and the person listening would say, well, that's a really cool idea. And then they would say, well, where can I use it? And I would say, well, nowhere. And at that point, they weren't interested. So I kind of have to find an alternative way of financing this project. And of course, the project I'm talking about is mybtc.cc. And I thought, the group of Bitcoin supporters would be more taking a chance with that kind of thing. But
well, it's hard to separate people from their money. I mean, you've got an interesting concept, but the trick with getting somebody to invest in a concept, and again, just for listeners that aren't familiar, mybtc.cc is basically a credit card-looking card that, when swiped at a certain location that would be compatible for this, would essentially detract bitcoins from an account that would be attached to that card. That's it in a summary form. There's a lot of detail and a lot of very kind of interesting technical detail to the card and how it would work. But, you're a brilliant guy, and it's, I think, a neat concept. But the trick with getting, I think, an investor into something like that is to get them as excited somehow as you are. And it can be difficult, especially when it requires a lot of explanation. Again, generally people are very, very cautious with their money. So it's interesting that you got certain responses, and that you're going to retailor your approach as a result of the feedback that you've gotten, which is interesting. Good thinking there.
It seems to be one of these sort of things to where you can't get the merchants until you have the customers,
right?
And you can't get the customers until you have the merchants.
Chicken or the egg? Yeah, it's a very, very challenging position that you're in. I really hope it works out for you, because I do think that it's a good idea.
No, I haven't had problems getting investors. In fact, I ran into one investor that was, throwing around the number of $250,000. It's not really that kind of problem. I mean, I wanted it to be more of a community project, grassroots funding. Because when you start taking money from investors, they're going to start taking control of the project.
Yeah, and they're going to want to return within a certain period of time, and there's all kinds of controls that will come in place. It's certainly a challenge. Temper, thanks for the call tonight. His website, mybtc.cc. We'll continue here in moments. Hour 2's next. You take control. Free Talk Live.
We already have the lowest prices on flooring, but now you can save even more on every floor in our new catalog at Lumber Liquidator Spring Flooring Sale. Get the look of hardwood for 49 cents a square foot. Beautiful bamboo for just $139. Plus, get $100 to $500 off over 130 varieties of hardwood, over 50 varieties of laminate, and more. Minimum purchase applies. See store for details. We have over 350 incredibly low-priced floors, and now you can save even more. Hurry, sales going on now. Visit lumberliquidators.com or your local store today.
Quantum Vibe, it's year 2523. There are colonies on Venus, Mars, and Mercury. People travel in bubbles, fly at hyperspeed, with brain implants and artificial gravity. A scientific genius and his clever assistant set out on an adventure through the solar system, on a secret mission to find the key to access new frontiers and save liberty. QuantumVibe.com from Big Head Press.
MeowBit is free software from the Freedom Fiends that allows you to effortlessly view .bit websites. MeowBit works on all browsers. .bit is a new type of web address that's not controlled by any government or corporation. And we'll show you how to register a .bit domain today using a few cents worth of Namecoin. If anyone ever shuts down your .com website, users will still be able to get to your site using your .bit address in our free software, MeowBit. Go to meowbit.com. That's meowbit.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Radio VR.
Good
morning and welcome to Radio VR. We're broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. and around the world on voiceofrussia.com. I'm Kate Zickel.
And I'm Rick Young. Today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2014.
Radio VR News.
President Obama has taken the wraps off the fiscal 2015 budget that aims to boost spending on schools, infrastructure, and innovation. White House correspondent Mark Smith reports the president telling supporters in a speech at a Washington elementary school that the budget was about choices and values.
To underscore his education focus, the president unveiled the $4 trillion blueprint at a Washington elementary school.
It is not just about numbers, it's about our values. And it's about our future.
And about the midterms. While last year's budget deal means there'll be no government shutdown, there's still plenty to argue over, whether to invest in road building and research and training or cut corporate tax rates and rein in red ink. So as Republicans lambasted Obama's ledger as yet more binge spending, Democrats saw in it election year themes of creating jobs and narrowing the gap between rich and poor. Mark Smith at the White House.
The IRS official at the center of the Tea Party tax exemption controversy will be back before a House panel this morning. Correspondent Jerry Bodlander tells us more.
During her tenure as head of the IRS's tax-exempt division, Lois Lerner acknowledged that Tea Party groups seeking tax exemptions were targeted for extra scrutiny. When she appeared before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee last May, Lerner invoked her Fifth Amendment right after insisting she had done nothing wrong.
I have not broken any laws. I have not violated any IRS rules or regulations.
Lerner, who has since retired, could invoke that right again today when she goes before the same committee. Jerry Bodlander, Capitol Hill.
The House has approved legislation to roll back a recently enacted overhaul of the federal flood insurance program after homeowners in flood-prone areas complained about sharp premium increases. Correspondent Ross Simpson explains.
Democrat Carolyn Maloney of New York and Republican Steve Scalise from Louisiana say the bill will correct a lot of inequities.
This bill will protect homeowners from drastic premium increases, provide relief to housing markets, and put the flood insurance program on a path to long-term solvency.
Sending somebody a $10,000 or $20,000 a year bill on a $200,000 house that never flooded is not an actually sound rate. It's a death sentence.
The bill now goes to the Senate. Ross Simpson, Washington.
An abortion debate of another kind in Alabama. The Alabama House of Representatives has approved an abortion restriction that would ban the procedure once a fetal heartbeat is detected. Correspondent Carlotta Bradley reports if the fetal heartbeat bill wins final approval, it would tie Alabama with North Dakota as having the most stringent abortion law in the country.
The provision that would ban abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected is a direct challenge to the 1973 Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion up until a fetus is considered viable. Fetal heartbeats can be detected as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy.
Oil giant Chevron has won a round in a lawsuit over environmental damage wrought by Texaco in Ecuador. Correspondent Warren Levinson reports the long-running legal battle.
Judge Lewis Kaplan's roughly 500-page ruling says, in essence, maybe Chevron did poison the land, water, and air in the Ecuadorian Amazon, but the plaintiff's lawyers rigged evidence and bribed the judge, so his $9 billion judgment against the company cannot be collected in any U.S. court. Plaintiff's attorney Stephen Donziger says the judge is wrong on the law and the facts, and he will appeal. He's also being sued by some plaintiffs who claim he's not trying to get money to the populations that have been harmed. Chevron called Kaplan's ruling a resounding victory. Warren Levinson, New York.
Tax season is upon us, and there's lots of advice on saving money. One is, don't give the government money that belongs to you. Correspondent David Melendi reports on deductions.
An H&R Block survey finds that 50% of people who prepare their own taxes had some kind of inaccuracy on their return.
Half of those folks were leaving money on the table.
The company's senior tax advisor, Richard Gartland, says they missed out on tax breaks.
Deductions that they were eligible for and didn't take, or credits that they were eligible for but didn't apply for.
He says many just take a standard deduction because it's easier. But life changes, like marriage, birth of a child, buying a house, usually mean you should claim deductions.
For every big milestone in life, there's a related milestone in your taxes.
I'm David Melendi.
And that's the news for Radio VR in Washington. I'm Kate Zickel.
And I'm Rick Young.
Our planet
is but a giant petri dish swirling with pathogens, all mixed by the filthy stirring straw that is the world's fauna. Simply by sitting on her eggs and breathing, this duck unleashes a torrent of avian botulism, cholera, and duck plague into the air. These jousting elk slough off bits of skin and fur, sending millions of harmful bacteria into the air. Our closest relative, the chimpanzee, is itself the fountainhead of AIDS. Bitter at the ascendancy of man, these scheming apes brood this deadly virus in their jungle lairs. Nowhere on Earth is safe from the threat of animals. Even in the bitter wasteland of the Antarctic, penguins walk for miles inland, ensuring their afflictions reach every corner of the globe.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here as we are entering into the second hour of this live Saturday edition of the program. Mark is out for about a week. Daryl, thanks for coming in here tonight.
Anytime.
Daryl is here courtesy of his website, which is fpp.cc. On there, you will get a newspaper. You will get access to Daryl's posts that he makes, stories that he writes. Also, in addition to that, you can get books that Daryl has both written and published for other people, including Voluntary Islam, which is one of my favorites from the site. And I've read a few of them because you were kind enough to send me some while I was in jail. And
one of the times you were in jail, I sent you several books.
And so go to fpp.cc. You can grab more of Daryl in written form. And then also fppradio.com is where you can get Daryl's several audio offerings, including what?
Including the daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, the weekly podcast, Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, that airs live every Sunday afternoon, and also the Freedom Minute, which is a weekly 5-minute news/commentary podcast, and the Police Accountability Report.
All of it free at fppradio.com. Let's go to the phones and the fun as we launch here into the second hour. We've got Dave in Vegas on the amp lines. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Dave.
I wanted to comment on the call earlier where the guy called in kind of going from civil disobedience to Timothy McVeigh. And kind of what's dangerous there is, well, first of all, people that do incidents of civil disobedience are basically, people that don't want to hurt anybody, and they're doing that, as a way to protest the government or whatever, and that's how they're exercising, I'll say their freedom to an extent, instead of doing other things. So I think it's a good thing that, people do nonviolent things that don't hurt anybody, because it gets to a point where you have to do something, where you're just going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, it's fine, police do whatever, and things like that happen, what happens with the government, and people stand up. However, what he was saying is kind of what our federal government is doing now, where they're looking at people that stand up for liberty and freedom, and they're saying, oh, those people are terrorists. So it's almost like, to me, I look at that as kind of a dangerous thought for somebody to talk about civil disobedience and in the same sentence say, oh, yeah, that leads to this.
Well,
because
I can see
our federal government is thinking.
Yeah, I can see why he would think that, though, although it is, I think, for the most part, mistaken for some of the reasons you're pointing out here. Generally, people who are doing civil disobedience are doing that in a protest and in a very peaceful manner. However, there certainly could be incidents of civil disobedience that, through police involvement and angry activists, could escalate into an incident of violence. And we didn't see that happen with some of the civil disobedience that went on, for instance, during Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, which our listeners can go and check out for free. You can watch an hour-and-a-half long feature-length documentary about some of the civil disobedience that happened here in 2011 here in Keene, New Hampshire, where we're doing this radio show from. But there was an incident which had some real negative overtones to it because of the anger in the activists that during the incident of civil disobedience. So there was this dance party that Derek J. was throwing at Central Square here in Keene. It was very quietly being held. It wasn't disrupting anyone, but the cops came out anyway just to screw with people, and they made claims that it was disruptive, etc. And as they were arresting Derek J., he was kind of coming from a place of anger at the police, and the people who were around him, many of whom were inebriated, which doesn't help when it comes to showing love to your oppressor, were also kind of angry and yelling. And there wasn't violence on the part of the activists. They did not get violent. The cops did escalate to violence. They used pepper spray against Derek J. And then there was another example that followed that later, like a week later. Derek was arrested again for smoking cannabis in that very same park. And he knew there was a difference, that he needed to make the difference, because he knew he was really upset the first time around and he needed to focus on being peaceful. And he did that in the second event, and it totally changed the tone. It totally changed how the police handled him. He still got arrested, but he wasn't violently arrested when he remained peaceful, and he was singing right up until the point of and during his arrest, and the people around him were singing and being very, very calm. And I think that really changed how things happened. So I can understand how someone could look at civil disobedience and see that as escalating to a more violent encounter.
So, Dave, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
On the vandalism of public property, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a little different, because it does, when it comes down to things like vandalism. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle about that. I see where he was coming from, but it's also, if public property has to be repaired by tax money as well. What
if someone uses something that could be removed easily?
Like chalk?
I don't think,
or a sticker?
Sorry, and that's funny that you say that, because in Las Vegas we had some people from the local cop block who chalked right in front of the police station. It's washable chalk. So no, I mean, something like that, it was ridiculous. They ended up dropping the charges just because they got so much publicity. I mean, they were charged with a felony. They brought out like the power washer because they wanted it to have to cost over a certain amount of money so they could file certain charges. And no, in a situation like that, I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's washable chalk that kids use. But I guess it all depends. But in the situation even that Ian was talking about, even in that situation, it's something that, kind of escalates in the moment. I mean, for somebody to compare it to something that's, planned that purposely is going to hurt innocent people, is totally different than even if there is some civil disobedience and it does escalate and something happens, it's all in the moment of, things that would happen in that, as opposed to, comparing it to somebody who's, killed hundreds of people, and they knew they were killing hundreds of people, and they thought about it and they planned it. So that's kind of what I'm saying with that is, there could be some issues of civil disobedience that escalate in the moment, but that's totally different than just saying, oh yeah, someone's going to plan to kill hundreds of innocent people.
Well, what if someone put stickers on parking meters as sort of a form of protest?
Yeah, that's fine. I know that was going on up in New Hampshire. I don't have a problem with that neither. I mean, again, I guess
I thought it was funny. I want to just describe a little bit further about what you're talking about, Daryl. There was a post that I made on freekeen.com within the last few days. If you go there now, it's pretty fresh. There were presumably haters, but it could have been a Liberty person, I suppose, who was doing this.
Probably not.
I don't think so, but you don't know. We don't know who the culprit is, but they were going to different parking meters in town and placing stickers. Some of them were over top of the coin slot on the parking meter, and it's got a picture, kind of a cartoon picture of somebody's butt cheeks. And it says, insert for Ian Bernard Freeman's ego here, with a little hand pointing to the butt crack. So I guess the idea
presumably you put the coin in the butt.
In the butt crack, right. Presumably they had placed the butt crack over the actual coin slot. And then to the right of that, it says, Robin Hooders are villains. And I posted this as, the title, Robin Hood Hater Vandalizes Parking Meters. And I thought it was funny. I mean, when I saw it, I thought this was a pretty funny thing.
Yes.
But I think that from their perspective, it's counterproductive in that if you are a hater and it's your job to hate on the Robin Hooders, which seems to be the point of this this vandalism, that putting the sticker up would be one thing, but putting it in a way that actually obscures the process of trying to put money in a meter could be seen as an inconvenience by the people who are just trying to pay the meter to go and do business downtown.
Now, if they would have cut a hole in the sticker so that you could then very easily place your coin.
That would have been thoughtful. Yeah, I think that would have been thoughtful had they done that. I think that would have bought them some extra points. But also, there's the inconvenience that they're actually making the parking enforcers' jobs more difficult because they had to remove the stickers. And Daryl, you said removing the stickers would be easy, but not in all cases. In a lot of cases, removing a sticker can leave a lot of residue. It can be very, very difficult. So
depends on what type of adhesive.
It depends on the adhesive. It depends on how long the sticker's been there. Dave, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate hearing from you at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It wasn't very well thought out, I don't think, in this case. But there's more coming up here. Civil disobedience. It's Free Talk Live.
I want to share something important that will not only improve your life, but the lives of many others as well. And all you need to do is drink coffee. I'm not talking about harmful store-bought or chain coffee. No, this is truly the best of the best coffee. We've partnered with Camano Island Coffee Roasters to offer BuzzBox. With every purchase, 10% goes towards our efforts to give the gift of human freedom by providing at least 100 microfinance loans via World Vision. So literally, just one cup at a time, you're having an impact and helping make a difference in the world. And one sip will have you buzzing to family and friends. To prove just how good it is, we're giving a free pound of coffee to everyone in the audience. All you do is cover shipping. Go to coffee.freetalklive.com. BuzzBox coffee is organic, so it contains no pesticides or toxins. It's shade grown, so less acidity and no heartburn. It's top 1% Arabica grade and gives people the opportunity to own their own coffee farms. Join us in making a huge impact at coffee.freetalklive.com.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
Do you know the difference between erudite and pedantic? If you do, you're probably pedantic. But seriously, a surprising number of erudite people mispronounce erudite, which has 3 syllables, not 4. Say erudite, not erudite. Because you are judged by how you speak, you want to avoid common misstatements, especially if you're a job seeker. For instance, do you know the difference between imply and infer? Only a speaker can imply. Only a listener can infer. And when you say you'll be out of pocket, do you mean out of touch? Out of pocket means you're on your own dime, not yet reimbursed. And if anyone ever asks, why do you always answer a question with a question? You should reply, do I do that? Just kidding. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Bring up what you want here on this live Saturday edition. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. You can Skype into the show at username LRN.FM. With you here on Free Talk Live tonight, it's Ian.
And Daryl.
And, of course, you can take control here. You can bring up what you want. Still to come, Daryl has a letter from a congressman. This is apparently advocating the banning of the U.S. dollar. I hope we get a chance to share that with you,
Yes.
but your call's coming first here, so we're going to go back to the phones and the fun. And then I also have some comments about the idea of vandalism being civil disobedience. I don't think that it is, but we'll get to that here in a moment. In most cases, I don't think that it is. But first, we go to the phones and to the fun. We got another Dave. This one is in New York. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Dave, what's on your mind?
I am very, very angry about a certain website that degrades women. Okay, the site is called fake.bitch.com, and there's also one called fakersclub.com.
What is a fakers club? What is that?
It's called, fake.bitch.com and fakersclub.com. They both degrade women. You go on the site and you ask people to fake your wife, your girlfriend, sister, daughter, whatever, to have them make them look naked, put pictures, make them rude, make them look like they're giving blowjobs or whatever, something. But it's a site. It's a disgusting site. They do it out of the enjoyment to degrade women. It's disgusting. I hate it.
So is this something where, so I'm on the fakersclub.com, and it appears to be a forum, and there's like a bunch of pictures kind of scrolling across the top. So I guess what you're saying is that people are taking a headshot of their ex-girlfriend or something like that, and then inserting that via Photoshop with maybe some level of skill or not so much, and attempting to make that person look as though they were in some sort of naked picture or sexual picture. Is that right?
Yeah, and if you also go to fakethebitch.com, it's also basically like the same thing. They Photoshop people, and it's disgusting. They take people's they take their head and they put it onto like other people's bodies. And they make
I get where you're coming from, Dave, and I thank you for the call tonight at 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. How do you feel about this, Daryl? I mean, is it offensive?
I don't know. People are going to try finding naked pictures of women because that's what guys do. There's any number of websites where you could type it. Just pick a celebrity, type in the name, and then put in naked. Type nude or naked, and there's going to be pictures.
Some will be real.
Most of those are probably not going to be real.
Some will, some won't.
But people have, taken the time to put Lindsay Lohan's face on somebody else's body. And
some are fairly persuasive, like they are very well done. The lighting is appropriate, and the photoshopping was good.
If you don't like it, don't go to the website.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I don't think there's really anything you can do about this. There are some people who are concerned with not so much the idea of taking an ex-girlfriend's head and putting it on some sort of porn pic. But, there are actually a lot of pictures that people have taken of their girlfriends or boyfriends in sexual positions, sort of amateur pornography that are real, they didn't fake them. And then after the person has broken up with the other, they then post that picture on some sort of what they call revenge porn website. And there's some controversy about that as well. Should people be able to get in trouble for doing something like that? And I don't think that while I don't think legally it should be actionable, I do think that it's tacky.
It's definitely scummy.
Yeah, and I don't think that you should do that to somebody. But on the other hand, if you take naked pictures of yourself and you're taking them with somebody who is your lover at the time, you should know. You should be aware somewhere, not just in the back of your mind, but front burner should be the consideration that, do I think this relationship is going to last forever? And do I think that if the relationship doesn't last forever, that there's a chance that it might end badly? And if so, is there the chance that the person who formerly loved me and appreciated me and now is angry is going to release the photos or video that I've taken? And I think that people should be cautious
Ian,
about that.
If it's the first thing on your mind of, is this person going to break up with me and be angry with me? Yeah. You probably should not be in that relationship.
Well, I get where you're coming from, but
if you don't trust your partner, you should not be in that relationship.
No, Daryl. I disagree. I think that you can trust your partner and then people change, right? So you can trust your partner and their partner can be very, very upfront and trustworthy and has earned that trust or whatever and seems like they're on the up and up. But then if they get a bug up their butt and they decide they don't like you anymore for whatever reason, because people change, right? And
I'm not saying people don't change, but you're saying the first thing you should think about before taking, pictures for your girlfriend, or if you're a, woman taking some, seductive pictures for your boyfriend is, oh no, what's going to happen if we break up and he gets mad at me? Mm-hmm. If that's the first thing that you're thinking of when you're trying to do something romantic for your partner, you should not be in that relationship.
Well, I think it's a realistic consideration, and I think
should
people
be in the back of your mind.
Yeah,
it should not be the first thing you think about.
People are so litigious these days. Same thing with marriage. I think that you really need to think about prenuptial agreements before you get into marriage. I get the whole be romantic thing, and that's cool, and I can appreciate that. But there's just too many instances of people screwing each other after the fact, and I would be very, very concerned with something like that happening. If I were worried about, a naked picture going out online. If you don't want naked pictures going out online to people you don't know, don't take the picture. Right. So your first thought shouldn't be, I want to make this person happy by sending him a picture of me naked or a video of me playing with myself or something like that. Your first thought should be, would I want to see this on revenge porn websites in the future? And that's not because you don't trust the person that you're in a relationship with. It's because you understand that person won't necessarily be the same person in 5 or 10 years. Maybe they'll love you more than they did, at this point in time, and this will never be an issue, or maybe they'll always respect you even though you've broken up. I have very great relationships with my ex-girlfriends. We're on great terms, all of them. So I'm not concerned about that. But when I was breaking up with them, I thought about things that, will this make this breakup go smoother? Because I would like the breakup to go smoother. I don't want somebody to be nasty and vitriolic towards me in the future and whatever that might mean. So one of the things I've always done is given up the pet. If we've ever had pets together, I love those pets very much, and I would have liked to have kept them. But I also want a breakup to go smoothly. So you can have the pet, lady. It's your pet now. So I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking about the future and being aware
That's
of
not what I'm saying.
Realistic. You're saying if you're thinking about the future, you shouldn't be in a relationship with somebody.
I'm saying if that's the first thing that you think about. You're saying that anytime you take a naked photo for somebody, the first thought should be, what's going to happen when we break up? I'm saying if that's your first thought, not your 500th thought or your 50th thought, if that is your first thought, you're in a bad relationship.
855-450-FREE. That's the Pro XPN toll-free line. You can take control here. Share your thoughts. This is Free Talk Live.
That's the sound of your door being kicked in by an intruder with a single kick. Criminals know that your doors are weak and your alarm system can't keep them out. That's the sound of the same door, now protected by the Door Sentinel. Standard locks, deadbolts, and alarm systems can't prevent forced entry. Harden your door and door jamb with the Door Sentinel. Go to mysafedoor.com. That's mysafedoor.com and enter coupon code SAFE for 15% off of your order. The Door Sentinel, your home's first line of defense.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. If you'd like to listen to GCN programs on the go, I have great news. GCN has created a Droid and iPhone application, and it's free. Just as easy as going to GCNlive.com, click on the banner, and download. Before you know it, you'll be listening to your favorite hard-hitting GCN shows, live or on demand, right on your Droid or iPhone, 24/7 and on the go. So download the Droid and iPhone app free by clicking on the banner at GCNlive.com. Thanks again for listening to GCNlive.com. Again, that's GCNlive.com.
Free Talk Live.
I'm a supporter of law enforcement, and my boyfriend's a police officer.
What if there was a law passed that made cigarettes illegal? Would you also support your boyfriend going and raiding people's homes and businesses because they had some black market cigarettes?
Enforce laws if people are smoking cigarettes and they're not supposed to be?
Yeah.
Would he enforce them?
Yes.
Yes, he would.
Right, that's the problem. It's his job.
Can I go to a more extreme example then, Lindsay? What if it was like Nazi Germany in 1939 and Jews were illegal? Would your boyfriend go around and grab them and throw them into concentration camps because it was the law?
If it was his job, he would do it.
God.
Wow.
I'm not saying it's not a personal issue. If it's his job,
personal.
Doing something wrong is doing something wrong whether you've got the law on your side or not, ma'am.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country. With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The warning signs.
First, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me, about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today at nhliberty.info.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, bring up what you want here on this live Saturday edition of the program. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Everything from the charges being dropped against artist Essam for his drone bombing NYPD artwork. That's great news. We talked about that. Civil disobedience, Tim McVeigh. Are they on a continuum? And I want to come back to that question here in a little bit. And, of course, we'll take your calls here at 855-450-FREE. We ended up talking about what's called revenge porn. When somebody breaks up with another person, they have porn pictures or, amateur porn video or something that they shot. They then release it to the internet or spread it around a school or something like that. And that led you to making a statement, Daryl, which I'd like to say something else to, but we've got to get to tell you about Quantum Vibe Volume 2. Will new technologies enslave mankind or liberate us? Well, possibly. It depends on who has the better ideas. In the book Quantum Vibe Volume 2, Murphy, our favorite mad scientist, and his hard-drinking sidekick continue their epic mission to open a vast new frontier for humankind. As they navigate complex political and corporate intrigues on a terraformed Mars and colonized Vesta, dark forces are plotting to steal, murder, and start an interplanetary war. Whose tech will overcome? Whose ideas will win the day? Quantum Vibe is a popular Liberty-themed sci-fi adventure webcomic which updates daily at bigheadpress.com. So you can go there and read it for free. And their latest volume, which features 161 full-color pages, and they do some very nice printing work there, by the way, at Big Head Press. I've read a couple of their compendiums while I was in jail, and I loved them. You can go and get them over at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and direct from the publisher at BigHeadPress.com. But if you go to shop.freetalklive.com, you can click into Amazon and then just go and search for Quantum Vibe, and you can grab the book that way, and that way Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. So get your shopping done and get your Big Head Press comics, including Quantum Vibe Volume 2, at shop.freetalklive.com. As we continue here, your statement, Daryl, was that if your first thought when your lover wants to make amateur porn with you is whether or not they might release that to the internet later on, that you're not in a good relationship and you should leave it. Was that essentially your statement earlier?
I didn't say amateur porn. I said if your first thought when taking a photo of yourself
naked.
Yes.
Okay, you're not considering that amateur pornography? All right.
No,
fine.
I'm not.
All right. So
I'm considering that
just a naked photo.
Either just a naked photo or art.
I agree with you. Generally, naked photos are not considered pornography. But nonetheless, people are very, very upset, some of them, when they get released to the internet without their consent. And I don't think it means that you're in a bad relationship, in the same way that I don't think that when you want to have sex with somebody with whom you're in a relationship, if you think to put on a condom first, that means that you're in a bad relationship either. There are certain thoughts that are protective of oneself, and it doesn't mean that you don't trust the other person. It doesn't mean that you're not interested or loving towards that other person. It just means that you know that there are certain realities in life and that you want to protect yourself from those things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I completely understand that some people aren't comfortable taking naked photos of themselves. That's fine. But the way you worded it, of your first thought should be what happens when we break up and this person is mad at me, if that is the first thought.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I'm saying that's equivalent to or tantamount to somebody having, or, I think you're
I don't want to get you pregnant, so I'm going to wrap it up, is not the same as what's going to happen when you break up with me and hate me.
Aren't you ruining the romance? I mean, weren't you suggesting that by having that being your first, having a cautious thought being your first thought is ruining the romantic mood?
No. I didn't say
person.
all cautious thoughts. I
just
said
that one.
The thought of what happens when we break up and this person hates me. If that is the first thought, then you probably should not be in that relationship.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Jared listening in Battle Creek. You're on Free Talk Live, Jared.
Hey, talking about the having that first thought of whether or not this relationship's going to last, a lot of the problem with this whole revenge porn thing is that a lot of these people are young. And a disturbingly large number of them are under 18 with pictures ending up online. And these people, a lot of them are in relationships where they know it's not going to last more than a week.
And I don't know if they know that. Do you think that high schoolers know that?
Well, I'm only 20. I'm relatively recently out of high school, and quite a few of the people that I went to school with, people now, enter into relationships with that kind of the 1 week or 1 night type of relationship.
So there you're saying that a lot of them do know it. Unfortunately, we're getting into a real bad sell with you, and it's hard to understand. But thank you, Jared, for sharing your thoughts tonight. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you know the relationship's not going to last, it's a terrible idea to take naked pictures. If you're concerned with that, I tend to think that there's so many naked pictures online. Who's going to ever see yours, right? Like, what are the odds that your boss is going to see your picture? I suppose with revenge porn, maybe they're frequently posting the person's name, so therefore in a Google search, the porn might actually come up. So I guess there's some legitimate concern there, considering the kind of puritanical society that we have, and that some people in certain business relationships might not want their workers doing that sort of thing. just to kind of go back to the point, I guess I disagree with you, Daryl. I don't think that, and I totally understand the point that you're making. You're saying that if your first thought is that this person could do something bad with the pictures, with the naked pictures or pornography or whatever it is that you've done together, or that you might do together, that if the first thought is that the person might do something bad, that means you don't trust the person, and that's a bad relationship. And I think that a lot of people don't trust somebody when they first get into a relationship with them.
Then when you first get into the relationship with them, don't take naked photos of yourself.
Right. That's all I'm saying. It's a terrible idea to do this when you should know there's a chance it won't work out. It doesn't mean that you're not hoping for it to work out. It doesn't mean that you don't think the person's wonderful and everything is just peachy. There have been so many relationships where things have just gone swimmingly in the beginning for people, and then things have gone terribly at the end of those relationships. It's not, I don't think it's wrong to see that as a possibility for the future. I don't think you want to live into that possibility. I don't think you want to be paranoid and think constantly that the person is trying to stab you in the back or anything like that. I think building trust is
That's
important.
actually what I thought you were trying to say is, like you should always think what's going to happen when we break up. And just be focused on...
I said that you should be aware that breaking up is a possibility.
You said it should be the first thought in your mind.
Well, yeah, because if you don't think about that sort of thing, then you might just go ahead and take those pictures, and then you may regret that later on when it's too late. So you either think about it beforehand or not. Okay, so whether it's your first thought or your third thought, I think that, let me just clarify. If you don't think about that prior to taking the pictures, then I think you're making a mistake.
I will agree with that.
All right,
I just disagree that it should be the first thought.
Okay, so if it's the third thought, then it's okay with you.
If it's still better than
fourth thought.
The first thought.
So the first thought could be,
hi, honey, I made you supper. What's going to happen if they poison my supper? If my spouse hates
that's pretty
me
ridiculous.
and they poisoned my supper, should I eat this food?
That's pretty paranoid. I mean, wouldn't you say that's pretty paranoid?
Yes, it's paranoid.
Yeah. I don't think it's as paranoid to believe that someone would share a porn picture or a naked picture that somebody took, because it's fairly common. That happens a lot, whereas food poisoning, not so much.
Here's a hint. Don't give naked photos to somebody that you don't trust to keep them to themselves.
No kidding. But what I'm saying is, even if you trust them today, that doesn't mean the person will end up being trustworthy. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts here. Fred is listening to WYOO in Panama City. Hey, Fred.
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, well, it just comes down to the thing I got going on the porn stuff. Who cares, all right? We got more important things going on in the world. But
who cares about what?
About revenge porn.
I don't want to put words in his mouth. Who cares about what, Fred?
Yeah, the revenge porn and stuff. The point I want to get across to people is, everybody complains about the price of gas, cost of goods, and all that. As a commercial trucking company owner, we give the people, something to think about. Why don't they just stay home on the first 2 weekends of each month? Do a test with people. Stay home the first 2 weekends of each month. Get your friends to do it, and the price of gas would drop by $1 a gallon.
We'll come back in a moment here, Fred, if you want to continue that discussion. It's Free Talk Live.
The following is an important free offer for smokers only. The makers of Victor, the world's most advanced e-cigarette, have just authorized the release of free starter kits to all smokers who call in the next 10 minutes. Valued at $99, these Victor starter kits are available for free, but only while supplies last. To guarantee your free kit, call in the next 10 minutes, 1-800-564-6941. The revolutionary Victor design creates only water vapor. There is no foul-smelling smoke and no unhealthy tar. This allows individuals to enjoy the nicotine they love without restriction, no matter where they are. The financial advantages over cigarettes are considerable as well. It is estimated that the average smoker can save hundreds of dollars a month with Victor. Again, free Victor starter kits are now available to any smoker who calls in the next 10 minutes. This is a radio-only offer not available in stores, so call now for your free kit. 1-800-564-6941. 1-800-564-6941. 1-800-564-6941.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-888-912-1595. 1-888-912-1595. That's 1-888-912-1595. 1-888-912-1595.
If you are like most people, chances are you're malnourished. Most people do not get the 90 essential nutrients the body needs to survive. This lack of nutrition can lead to all sorts of health issues. If you don't feel as good as you'd like, or if you're looking to get a jump start on a new, healthier you, Youngevity has your answer. With the Healthy Start Pack, you get all the nutrients your body needs. With all 90 essential nutrients and 115 fruits and vegetables, you get a supplement system that is antioxidant rich and beyond compare. The Healthy Start Pack includes products backed by 40 years of science and millions of dollars in research, like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, EFA Plus 90, and OsteoFX Plus. To order your Healthy Start Pack today, call 607-739-5595. Again, that number is 607-739-5595. Once you start taking the Healthy Start Pack, you will see and feel why our motto is 90 for life.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone. 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Listen Lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Imagine for a moment a radio program, the most personal of mediums, that reaches hundreds of thousands of people on more than 140 radio stations across the U.S. and around the world through the internet with podcasts and live streams. Imagine the advertising is affordable from $600 to $6,000 a month. Free Talk Live is that program. We will work with you to get clicks, calls, views, or sales. Email me at mark@freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Bring up whatever you want here. Toll free, 855-450-FREE. That is the Pro XPN toll-free line, and you can join us on our website. Just go to freetalklive.com and enjoy the features there. We've got listening options, so you can get tuned into our streams. They are available 24/7. The latest episode of Free Talk Live is always airing on our streams. Broadband, midband, and narrowband versions of the show are available. We've got radio stations, over 140 great stations that air the show at various points throughout the week, coast to coast. You can get our list of our stations over at listen.freetalklive.com, plus satellite listening details that will allow you to get tuned into our free-to-air satellite channel, which means you can get Free Talk Live and the other great LRN.FM shows, which includes Daryl's Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and others, by satellite across Central and North America. Go to listen.freetalklive.com to learn more about that, plus our webcam and the listen lines that allow you to call from any phone that can dial long distance. Get tuned in that way. Listen.freetalklive.com. As we go back to Fred in Mariana, Florida, listening to WYOO-FM. Now, Fred, you said you don't think the revenge topic is a revenge porn topic is very interesting, so you wanted to talk about gas prices, and that's what you can do here on Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything. So you were saying that you thought that if people would stay home 2 weekends out of a month, that would be enough to make it so that gas prices would drop $1 per gallon. And you said that you run was it a logistics company? What was it?
I have a commercial trucking company, a security company, and a logistics company.
Mm-hmm.
I have a master's degree, and I have a 154 IQ and 4 published books. The thing that I'm putting across to people is don't buy any gasoline until Tuesday nights or Wednesdays. That's when you're going to find your cheapest gasoline prices. Supply and demand, people. Turn around, and if you do not buy gasoline and you stay home the first weekend of the month and the weekend following the 15th of the month, that's usually when most people get their checks from the government or whether they're on welfare or whatever, what have you, okay? If they would just stay home those weekends, that would cause a surplus of gasoline. I have major stock in with the gasoline and oil companies, and I've looked at this stuff. I challenge people, go out and do it yourself. It's not that hard to do. Just do it in your local community.
What percentage of people would need to not buy gas for it to actually affect the price?
The average household person. Depending on how many cars you got home.
Okay.
It's not an answer to the question.
So anything that requires everyone to do something is not a good idea generally.
It's not also possible.
To drop the fuel price down, you would have to have at least 28% of the population to do that.
28%?
Okay.
1 out of 4. It's an interesting theory, but eventually they're all going to have to buy up anyway, right? So, I mean, they're going to buy
it on Tuesday
at some point. You're saying if they buy later on, the price will be down, but won't it shoot up if all of a sudden everybody starts buying on Tuesday and Wednesday?
Hey, however people want to do it. My trucks are home every weekend, okay? It doesn't make any sense to go out there. Diesel fuel prices are sky high right now. Diesel is the lowest grade of fuel you can get out of oil. The only thing that makes it go higher is all the taxes put in with it. These big companies run their trucks over the weekends. All that does is drive the supply and demand up. If you look at the gas prices and the way things go on it, if you buy your gasoline on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, that's your cheapest cost you're going to find anywhere in the United States.
That's an interesting tip. And Fred, thanks for sharing that tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. As far as convincing people to stop going out on the weekends, I don't think that's going to be particularly helpful. But I think that if you really, if it really is true what he's saying, and that is gas prices are the cheapest on those days, it would make sense if you have the ability to plan purchasing your gasoline, if you're that good at sort of planning your week out, that you should do that. And it's probably true that there will never be enough people who are that good at planning to where there will be a big drive or demand on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Statistically, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are lighter travel days. And I know this because I worked for an airline for 4 years, and we would actually have fewer flights on Tuesdays and Wednesdays than we did the other 7 day or the other 5 days of the week. So, people do travel less on Tuesday, meaning that it's generally cheaper because the demand isn't as high. So, yeah, it's a good piece of advice. If you can buy gas on Tuesday or Wednesday, do it.
I'll take that. And I like good tips, and that's a good one. ManVentureOutpost.com is another good tip if you're looking for camping, hunting, survival, or shooting gear. They carry the brand names that you want at the lowest prices. Handguns, long guns, ammunition, knives, scopes, binoculars, laser sights, tactical flashlights, fish finders, optics, firearm accessories, archery, air guns, holsters, water purification, tents, apparel, and boating equipment. ManVentureOutpost.com. They're family-owned, and they have the lowest prices 7 days a week. You can go and check out for yourself those prices and the selection. Get it quick and get it from manventureoutpost.com. That's manventureoutpost.com. As we continue with your phone calls, let's go to Scott, listening in Toronto. You're on Free Talk Live, Scott.
Hi, Ian.
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I'm a really big fan of your show, and I really appreciate your whole network and what you've done for the whole liberty movement.
We do what we can.
I work from home. Yeah, you do a lot. You should be proud of yourself.
All right. Well, thank you. Go ahead with your thoughts tonight, Scott.
I work from home, so I listen to you guys all day long. I'm streaming you guys through your website right now, which sounds great. But I normally listen to you guys through your iTunes stream. That's how I found you. One day I was just looking through a talk radio and I saw Free Talk Live, and I've been a big fan ever since. But for the past week, your Free Talk Live stream, the LFN.FM stream, and even Stefan Molyneux's Free Domain Radio stream has all been blank. They haven't been broadcasting.
That's LRN.FM. Are you talking about, just to clarify, first of all, on air is probably the worst place to do technical support.
Yes.
But just to clarify your question, there is a difference between a stream An audio stream on the internet is live audio that is being sent in a kind of manner that you can listen close to live. But a podcast is different from a stream. Are you saying that the podcast is what's broken, or that the streams aren't working?
No, I don't know what a podcast is. I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about your live on air.
So here's what I'd recommend: send your technical support issues to Ian@freetalklive.com via email, and I'll do my best to address them. There have been a couple of complaints about the streams recently. I haven't really had a good chance to check out what's going on, but from all of my indicators, it looks like everything's up and running. So it may be a problem with iTunes, but regardless, if you've got a technical difficulty with Free Talk Live, the best thing to do is just email it to me.
Might actually be TuneIn instead of iTunes.
Well, you could try TuneIn if you want. TuneIn is a great service. It's something that allows you to listen to Free Talk Live and the LRN.FM streams via any cell phone. I mean, whether it's BlackBerry, iPhone, Android phone, Windows phone. There's a TuneIn app for every cell phone brand, and it makes it really easy. So, but still, regardless, send your technical support requests to me at ian@freetalklive.com. I'll do my best to look at it. And thank you for the call tonight. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. Let's continue. Ross is listening to WDNG in Anniston, Alabama. Hey, Ross.
Yes, sir. How are you tonight, guys?
Great. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Got a little story on parking meters up in Chicago.
Right.
This is back when Chicago was really busy, back better than 10 years ago. Treated very well. I was a local IBW member working in town in there. But anyway, parking at a building downtown and with the parking meters, and I pulled in and the parking meter wasn't working. Okay? So anyway, I tried to put money in, it didn't work, and then I got a ticket on it. So I was really ticked off, and I took a big cardboard sign and I wired it on the parking meter that how dumb the cop was, and that, et cetera, and it hung out there for a week, I guess, until he finally come back and done it. But then I took the ticket downtown, and they let me go on the ticket.
And how did that happen? Because you wanted to challenge it, they dropped the ticket?
Yeah, well, I mostly challenged everything. The other one, I'll tell you another one. This is another one that was in Florida, and this one's really, really, really bad. On 22nd Avenue in Florida, the cops control the parking lights in front of the school that go down to the plaza down there. And what they do is they sit out there with about 20 cops, and they just write up tickets because they have the signs and everything. I got a ticket on there because I come across the highway and made a right-hand turn and got like a $200 or $300 ticket going 26 and a 15, which I wasn't even in the zone. And I couldn't figure out why I got it. So I went in the school and I said, well, who is running this system inside the school down in here for the lights out in front? And they said, well, it's run by the police department downtown. And I said, well, there's no school today. This is on a day when there's no school. So they control the meters downtown, and they left them on for 2 hours, and they line up and write thousands of dollars in tickets. And I was the only one that challenged it. So I went down and I fought it in court.
And did you win? Yeah, that's excellent. I'm glad to hear that, Ross. Thank you. Very empowering. I appreciate your story. Thanks for the call tonight, man. That's what you got to do. Most people won't do it, though. Most people will not challenge any ticket ever because it feels like an inconvenience to them. They just want to pay it and get it over with. But in a lot of cases, they're BSing you. They have no case. They've written an illegal ticket, but you'll never find out if you don't take it to court and you don't challenge it. There's more coming up here in moments. Enough time for your calls and thoughts. And hour number 3, which is next here on Free Talk Live.
Remember how bad your allergies were last year? When they hit again, be prepared with new Nasacort Allergy 24-Hour, the first full-strength 24-hour prescription nasal spray available without a prescription. Unlike antihistamines, it blocks more of the body's chemical responses that cause nasal allergy symptoms, relieving the worst of them, including congestion, for 24 hours. New Nasacort Allergy 24-Hour stops more of what makes you miserable. Use as directed. May take up to 1 week of daily use to feel the most symptom relief.
In every age, a technology is created that upends the foundations of society. The wheel, the printing press, the internet. Now, in a world sliding into financial chaos, a new technology is changing the way monetary systems work around the world. It is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a new form of money, controlled not by banks, governments, or corporations, but through mutual commerce between free individuals. To learn more, visit weusecoins.com.
When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, March 8th, 2014. Silver is trading at $20.89 per ounce. Gold is worth $1,340 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $617. Antiwar.com reports, as Western officials continue to ratchet up threats for sanctions on Russia, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned that the move could boomerang and hit the sanctioners, particularly in the European Union, much harder than Russia itself. He warned that the U.S. push for sanctions was poorly thought out, a comment that reflects EU concerns about the plan as well, since many EU nations are highly dependent on Russian natural gas. The natural gas concern has fueled calls for the U.S. to open up its exporting of gas, though the White House downplayed that prospect and says that they are several years away from allowing significant exports of natural gas. Ironically, Western officials that have been pledging billions of dollars to bail out the Ukrainian economy in wake of regime change are going to find a lot of that money going to Russia to pay bills owed to major Russian companies. Gazprom alone is owed nearly $2 billion for natural gas shipments to the Ukraine. Proximity and historical ties make Russia by far the most important business partner for Ukraine, though the recent protest movement has caused many Russian companies to dramatically reduce the estimated value of their business there. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Amagi Metals. When you purchase gold or silver from Amagi Metals using my affiliate link, gold.fppradio.com, you help fund FPP Radio News. Amagi Metals offers beautiful gold and silver rounds and ingots at great prices. Amagi Metals carries the 50-gram Cumby Bar, a 50-gram gold bar comprised of 50 detachable 1-gram gold bars. They also have a 100-gram silver Cumby Bar and much more. Amagi Metals also accepts Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin, allowing you to convert your cryptocurrencies into precious metals. Shop Amagi Metals online at gold.fppradio.com. That's gold.fppradio.com. Earlier in the week, Congressman Jared Polis called on the Treasury to ban physical dollars in response to Senator Joe Manchin's plea to ban Bitcoin. Polis wrote in a statement, "The exchange of dollar bills, including high-denomination bills, is currently unregulated and has allowed users to participate in illicit activity while also being highly subject to forgery, theft, and loss." To be sure the congressman is being cheeky, his spokesman said, "This is just a satirical version of Senator Manchin's letter meant to draw attention to the fact that bitcoins are not any more susceptible to the problems that the senator points out than dollars." Adding, Congressman Polis is not actually calling for a ban on physical currency, but hopes this helps move the debate forward so we can come up with ways to improve Bitcoin, not ban them. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Coinbase. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. All of your funds on Coinbase are safe, with approximately 90% of customer funds being stored offline, and all wallets are stored using AES 256 encryption. I trust Coinbase. You should too. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. That's coinbase.fppradio.com. Ballot Access News reports on March 5th, 7 New Jersey voters filed a lawsuit in federal court arguing that the New Jersey Constitution is violated when taxpayers pay for partisan primaries. 4 of the voters are independents, 1 is a Democrat, 2 are Republicans. The case is Balsam v. Guadagno. It was assigned to U.S. District Court Judge Stanley Chesler, a Bush Jr. appointee. New Jersey lets independents vote in partisan primaries, but on primary day, if they ask for a major party primary ballot, they are then listed as major party members and must fill out a new voter registration form to regain their independent status. The 3 plaintiffs who are registered Republican or Democrat say they only registered into the major parties to be able to vote in primaries, but they would rather not be members of those parties. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After notifying students that there will be no awesome events happening on campus this weekend, Hamilton College Activity Board Coordinator Jessica Wilson from the class of 2015 spoke to Onion reporters about the disappointingly empty days ahead.
On behalf of the entire Campus Activities Board, I would like to truly apologize for failing to live up to the standards expected of us from everyone on campus. And the fact is, we let the school down.
Wilson said that while the board is usually proficient at booking plenty of cool events for all students to participate in, the upcoming weekend will have no interesting lectures, no wrestling match against Amherst, no acoustic coffee house, and no outdoor movie screening of Silver Linings Playbook.
We tried our best to organize a foam party in Dunham Quad for Friday night, but all the foam machines were rented, and we failed. This falls on us. We realize we don't deserve your trust yet, nor do we expect it, but we'll do everything we can to restore your confidence in us, starting with a comedy hypnotist show on Thursday at Minor Theater. Tickets are $5.
This is the Onion News Network.
Show, it's Free Talk Live. We're taking your calls about whatever is on your mind. You may take control of these airwaves toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If we get a chance, and I don't know if we will because it's Saturday night, it's our busiest night on the air. Always have a lot of great calls from people with interesting things to discuss. But if we get a chance, Daryl, you're going to read an editorial piece or a letter by a U.S. representative.
Yes.
Now, normally I don't really care about what politicians have to say, but this one sounds particularly interesting.
And funny.
Yeah, about why it is the U.S. dollar should be banned. And you know what? Here on Free Talk Live, I think I can speak for most all of the co-hosts to say that we're all pretty big fans of Bitcoin.
Yes.
And, of course, Bitcoin's all over the news, and you may be asking yourself, how do you get Bitcoins? Cashintocoins.com is your answer. It's easy, safe, fast, legal, inexpensive, and customer service is their top priority. So if you've gotten your wallet, like over at blockchain.info, you can go grab a wallet right now for free. Once you have your Bitcoin wallet, you can put Bitcoins in that wallet by going to cashintocoins.com. Very simple process, and it works. Cashintocoins.com. I've done it. Daryl's done it. And I'll probably do it again into the future. Let's go to the phones and the fun. Your calls, your thoughts. Also, we've got Skype. You can Skype into the show at username LRN.FM. We go first this hour to Eric in Norfolk listening to WNIS. Hey, Eric, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great. Go ahead.
So I was calling about Bitcoins, but I just wanted to brush up on one thing that I heard you guys talking about earlier with about getting tickets and fighting it.
Yes.
I just want to say real quick that honestly, I felt in my personal experience that trying to fight tickets is completely pointless. It never works out in your favor.
Most of the time it doesn't, and especially, I'm glad you brought this back up because we didn't have a chance to really get into it in the last hour.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, it's not worth it because there are what are called court costs in a lot of jurisdictions, and that'll make it very, very inconvenient. But here in New Hampshire, if I get a $5 parking ticket, I can go and challenge that at the police department, get a court date for it, and then I can make them waste an hour of their time or more on a parking ticket trial and, preparing for that trial and all the work that they would have to put into actually getting the conviction. Even though I know that I'm probably going to be convicted, although I've won one parking ticket trial, and Daryl, you've won one as well in the past. Most of the time you lose, but here in New Hampshire,
I've never done it for a parking ticket, but
here in New Hampshire, when you lose a case, you just pay the same fine you would have paid anyway. So here, all you have, the only cost to going to trial is the time that it takes to go to trial, but that's also time they have to spend as well. And if more people were to do that in a place like New Hampshire, and again, I don't know what it is in Virginia, what the court costs are. If you were to take a $10 parking ticket,
it's way too high.
Yeah, I mean, if they hit you with $100 in court costs, then that's really suicidal to go and do that.
I was in a situation where, because I commute 200 miles a day to and from work, which is crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, it's crazy. And I keep, because I drive so much, I set my cruise control because why wouldn't I? Because to make sure that nothing bad happens. So I set my cruise control, and I got pulled over, and the cop seemed really shady, and he gave me a ticket and told me that I was going 8 miles over what I know for a fact that my cruise control was set to.
But you can't prove it. It's his word against yours, right?
And I was really angry. So I was like, screw this. I'm going to court over this. I was like, I'm going to fight this. So I went there, and I went before the judge, and I was very articulate about it, and I made a very strong case. I didn't try to fight with them. And I was like, look, this is how fast I drive. And he looked at me in the face, and he was like, "Okay, here's your fine." Period. It went in one ear and out the other.
What might have helped you in that situation would be a Freedom Cam. If you go to freedomcam.net, you can get what is essentially a black box GPS dash cam for your car. And it'll actually tell an objective truth about what your car was doing in whether it's in an accident or a speeding ticket. It's recording Yeah, so what it's doing is it's recording two cameras constantly, one in the front, so recording what's going on, over the hood of the car, and then one in your cab, so it's recording what's happening inside the cab, so if the cop's at the window.
That would have been great to have, because, honestly, I know for a fact that the officer added miles to the speed that I was going.
Yep.
And honestly, because when you go there, that officer is there with other people that he gave tickets to. And every single person that was there at court that he had given tickets to were all furious. And we're going on about the same exact argument that I was, that he was altering their tickets. He was giving them tickets, and it's things that they clearly did not do. And it went in one ear and out the other. But I just want to say real quick, because the reason I called actually has nothing to do with that. But the reason I was calling is about Bitcoin, because you guys talk about Bitcoins a lot.
Yes.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a Bitcoin expert, but I've been seeing a lot of stories lately about the people that have founded the company and people that are involved in the corporation, and really strange things going on, and people committing suicide over scandals and whatnot. I don't know if this is just ridiculous articles that I'm reading, or is this
I haven't heard the suicide claim. Have you, Daryl? Have you heard anything about
that?
Bitcoin
Happened
suicide?
yesterday.
What happened?
Okay.
Some Bitcoin business that I have never heard of, the CEO committed suicide. And it's being reported on the news that the CEO of Bitcoin committed suicide because the journalists have no clue what Bitcoin is.
So, Eric, Bitcoin is not a corporation.
That's why I called you guys.
Just a couple points of clarification. Bitcoin is not a corporation. There's no company that owns Bitcoin. No company created Bitcoin. Bitcoin was released.
That's why I was confused. Okay.
Yeah. So Bitcoin was released.
It went against everything that I heard about you guys saying. I listen to you guys all the time, and you guys always talk about Bitcoin, and I'm this is something I've been interested in. And then I heard that story, and I'm like, what? Like you just said, I was like, I heard the CEO of Bitcoin committed suicide, which made it sound like this really horrible conspiracy gone wrong.
Yeah, like when Mt. Gox collapsed, there were several media outlets that reported Bitcoin filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah. So just to clarify,
Okay, well,
Bitcoin is not a. I just like to get this out there real quick. Bitcoin is not a corporation. It is an open source project. It's code, it's computer code. It was released to the world by someone claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. There's also been apparently another news story come out recently claiming, I don't know if it was Newsweek or who it was, but some company claimed that they'd found the real Satoshi Nakamoto. See, the thing is, Satoshi Nakamoto is anonymous. Nobody knows who he is or who she is or if it's more than one person or not. But we do know that this code was released to the world. It's been upgraded since then by an open source team. You can, if you know programming, you can go and you can audit the code. You can you can help develop this stuff if you want to. So there is no single entity. There is no corporation or government or anything behind Bitcoin. What there are companies that are using Bitcoin in one way or another. They're either accepting the Bitcoin for products or they're creating services like blockchain.info, which allows people to easier use Bitcoin in their lives or in their businesses. So what happened was some CEO of some company that had something to do with accepting Bitcoin or whatever decided to kill themselves. And the Bitcoin community is huge. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of people involved in the Bitcoin world.
Millions.
It's inevitable that somebody is going to kill themselves. If you take 100,000 people, one of them might just commit suicide at some point in their lives. And then, there are companies that have failed. And there are companies that are doing well, very, very well with Bitcoin. It's like, some banks get robbed, some banks fail, some banks do very, very well, and some companies that deal with cash get robbed, and some companies fail. So you're seeing the same thing happen in the Bitcoin marketplace. It's just that the mainstream media doesn't understand Bitcoin, and so they misreport frequently. Some of them don't.
So basically,
Go ahead.
So basically, what I should assume is that you guys are covering up the suicide of the CEO of Bitcoin. I'm kidding.
Hey, Eric, thanks for the call tonight, man. Do appreciate it.
No problem, guys.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification.
No problem. Anytime. Now, we're certainly not experts, and thanks for the call. Anytime. So we're not experts on Bitcoin, but we're paying closer attention than the average mainstream media reporter. Let's just say that. We have some stake in the game. Both you and I have some amount of Bitcoin, Daryl, and so we're interested in kind of following the progress here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And by the way, if you want to get that Freedom Cam that I told you about earlier, you can go to freedomcam.net. This thing's amazing. It's got GPS. It's got cameras in it. So if you want to prove how fast you were going, this will prove that in court. And it would be interesting to see what would happen then. I don't know if anyone's ever used it for that purpose, but you could totally do that with the Freedom Cam. And they've got a brand new one, which is even more affordable now. freedomcam.net. More Free Talk Live coming up.
The following is an important free offer for smokers only. The makers of Victor, the world's most advanced e-cigarette, have just authorized the release of free starter kits to all smokers who call in the next 10 minutes. Valued at $99, these Victor starter kits are available for free, but only while supplies last. To guarantee your free kit, call in the next 10 minutes, 1-800-564-6941. The revolutionary Victor design creates only water vapor. There is no foul-smelling smoke and no unhealthy tar. This allows individuals to enjoy the nicotine they love without restriction, no matter where they are. The financial advantages over cigarettes are considerable as well. It is estimated that the average smoker can save hundreds of dollars a month with Victor. Again, free Victor starter kits are now available to any smoker who calls in the next 10 minutes. This is a radio-only offer not available in stores, so call now for your free kit. 1-800-564-6941. 1-800-564-6941. 1-800-564-6941.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
Free Press Publications is an independent alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Hey, this is Free Talk Live. We'll take your calls about anything. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. You can Skype into the show at username lrn.fm. As we continue here, we'll take your calls about anything that you want. Matt's listening in Tallahassee to WVFT FM. Hey, Matt.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. I appreciate you taking my call.
That's okay. What's what we do. Go ahead.
To your show. I very much appreciate it. I was an assistant engineer, Tallahassee, Florida, with the city of Tallahassee, and regarding your earlier issue that you were talking about with the parking meters and so on, and they put stickers on them and done so much. My boss was an engineer, and he went on vacation, and then we had people going around putting stickers on the meters saying something like picture for pork or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. So I told him, I'm not an engineer. I went to college. I spent 6 years in the Navy. I said, I can do anything you can do. He said, well, that's good, hotshot, because I'm going on vacation. So he spent 2 weeks on vacation, and I spent, 2 weeks there, and I changed the batteries out and all the meters, and that was it. And then he came back, and he said, you done everything wrong, and that was it. And he changed it all around and told me that I was wrong about doing what I did. I said, well, why? Because the batteries last longer than they do, and it didn't make no difference anyway. So I don't know.
So the point of your call was to explain how you were reprimanded for changing out batteries and parking meters. Did I miss something?
Well, that was part of it. I know this is not a political conversation because I'm more into politics anyway. I'd love to talk about that, but I know that's not the topic of this conversation.
Well, you can talk about whatever you want here on Free Talk Live.
Well, I've written a book. It's called One Day in November, and it's about John F. Kennedy and the assassination of John F. Kennedy, exonerating Lee Harvey Oswald. And I have
who did it? Who did it?
I wrote the book. It's called One Day in November.
Who did the killing? Who's responsible? What's your theory?
You really want me me to say this over the radio?
Well, I mean, unless you're going to break the FCC regulations against the F-bomb or the S-bomb or something like that, yeah, go ahead. I mean, if you can sum it up in 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, all I'm going to say is it was members of his own government. Okay.
Okay. What was the motivation?
The motivation was the oil depletion allowance.
The what?
He depleted U.S. Steel, J. Edgar Hoover, and Johnson. And I don't know if you know about Judith Ferry Baker, the vindication for Judith Ferry Baker. And she was. Are you familiar with that?
I am not familiar. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, I'm very good friends with her, and we talk daily. And she moves from day to day because she's scared, because she says the CIA is, and the FBI stay on her tail all the time.
Now, who is this lady? Judith who?
That was Lee Harvey Oswald's mistress. Okay.
And she believes that. Hold on. She believes that to this day. And we're talking about something that happened, what was it, 64, 63? When was that?
1963 was 50 years ago.
November 22nd, 1963,
so
in Dallas, Texas.
We're talking about 50-plus years ago. She believes that she's still being followed and monitored by the federal government?
She's obsessed. She's obsessed.
It sounds like she's paranoid.
More than I.
What in the world would they have any interest in following Lee Harvey Oswald's mistress 50 years later? That sounds like the height of paranoia.
It does sound like the height of paranoia, but I'm a little paranoid myself. That's the reason I haven't put my book on the shelf yet. It's called One Day in November, The Assassination of John F. Kennedy.
You're paranoid. Hold on. Now, Daryl is a book publisher. My co-host Daryl here. You're saying that you're not putting your book on the shelves because you're paranoid?
At this time, my book is not complete. I keep adding to it. Every day I keep adding more to it.
If you were really that paranoid, why would you call in to announce that the book is going to come out and thereby reveal to any of the government agents who are listening to the show that you are working on this book, and that now, because it hasn't been published, if they come and swoop in and take it from you, take the manuscript or whatever, that they would be able to do that now because they know about it?
Well, I have my reasons for not publishing it yet because I haven't completed all the pages, and I keep adding more day by day as the more I hear.
Well, I wish you the best, Matt. I really, I personally, I find the John F. Kennedy and all the other kind of conspiracies out there to be a tremendous waste of time. But, everybody's got their thing that they want to spend their time on, and that's good. Good for you, Matt. Thank you for the call. Good luck with the book. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What does it matter at this point who killed John F. Kennedy?
Well, and what would happen? Let's just say that the ghost of Lyndon Johnson holds a press conference on, like the lawn of the White House tomorrow and says, yes, I orchestrated the murder of John F. Kennedy. We, made the moon landing hoax, and all of these other things that you thought were true were actually true. Then would the federal government go away and say, well, we tried?
No.
Well, would they repeal all of the horrible legislation that has been passed in the name of all of these events?
Well,
would the Patriot Act get revealed if George W. Bush holds a press conference and says, I was behind 9/11?
Yeah, would it be repealed? No, I don't think it would, and I think there's plenty of evidence out there to show that government is corrupt and that they do things that, are naughty and really bad and questionable, and they lie all the time. There's a lot of evidence you can look to in the past that doesn't really require much speculation. We know the Gulf of Tonkin was a red flag. That's pretty much confirmed at this point. To start the Vietnam War, it was a total fabrication. We know that the McCulloch Memo back in World War II basically was an instruction book on how the U.S. government could manipulate the Japanese into attacking and thereby give them the excuse to go to war. So, there's a lot of stuff that you can point to show how corrupt and how dangerous the government is, but yet people continue to vote for scumbag politicians. None of these revelations over the years, the various different revelations that have come forth, none of them have been earth-shattering enough to change anything.
That was in the past. They would never do that now. They couldn't get away with putting people in concentration camps now.
Well, actually, maybe they could, and there's certainly no prohibition against them doing that. Wasn't there a quote recently from one of the Supreme Court justices who said that it could happen again?
Yes. And I would argue that it is happening again, but instead of targeting people based on specifically their ethnic orientations, they're targeting people on plant substances
mostly
that
poor
they
people
possess.
They're targeting mostly poor people for possession of plants or other chemicals, and then they put them in prison cells, and then they get to work them in basically slave labor camps for next to nothing. There's more coming up here, and you can share your thoughts at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Take control here at Free Talk Live.
There are many things the human body can do very well, but maintaining the proper pH level isn't always one of them. That's where AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops can make a world of difference. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops helps your body do what's natural. Just a few drops a day helps rid your body of harmful waste and acid while promoting health and restoring vibrance and energy. Alkalizing boosts your immune system and can help fight headaches, irritability, cramping, and insomnia. Alkalizing also helps the body fight depression and even bone loss. To learn more about the importance of alkalizing and how you can find life-changing and vital balance, please visit AlkaVision's brand new website at alkavision.com. Same great products, but now easier to use and more informative than ever before. To get your very own plasma pH drops for just $29.95, call 800-518-7615 or visit alkavision.com. That's ALKA vision.com. Alkalize your body and supercharge your health at the new alkavision.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Sources are confirming your dog died earlier today, and we're all really sorry you had to find out about it like this, buddy. Though it's a lousy thing to have to learn from an online web video, and even shittier to hear from a cold, hardened newsman's voice that you can't put a face to. Your pet passed away in his sleep while you went out today, and we understand how shocked you must be right now. Sources added that there are many local shelters with animals in need of a good home, though we understand that no dog can ever truly replace the one you just lost. I lost a dog once, but my mom was the one who told me about it, and she was quite the comfort. In this week's op-ed pages, Pantene CEO Marcus Russo laments feeling like the only one who gives a shit about rich, lustrous hair. In other news, a study finds that newborn infants can tell if their parents are losers. A man who just assembled a desk is unsure how he has every screw left over. And Jeff Beck is lured into a dark alley with the old guitar pick on a string trick. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeen.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeen.com. That's freekeen.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, take control here, toll-free, 855-450-FREE. That is the Pro XPN toll-free line, and you can join us online at freetalklive.com. And enjoy the features that are waiting for you on the website. We've got a mobile site for those of you with smartphones. And by the way, I saw the updated numbers this month from the Holland Cook newsletter that I subscribe to. He's like a radio consultant. He runs a bunch of numbers and looks at interesting studies and things like that. And I think it was last year that the number of smartphones in Americans' hands were 50-ish%, 51, 50%. It's now over 60%. So 60, 61% of people in America have smartphones. So even more. I mean, just a stunning amount of Americans have a very powerful computer in their pockets that can allow them to stream audio and a variety of other neat things. And if you have one of those smartphones, you can go to m.freetalklive.com, m as in mobile.freetalklive.com, and that will give you quick access to our live streams and the podcast. And it's all free. So go to m.freetalklive.com. Now, if you value your online privacy, you need ProXPN. ProXPN is a global virtual private network, and it works for your smartphone. They've got an app for iPhone or iPads. They've got an app for Android, and, of course, apps for Windows and Macintosh computers. Plus, there's instructions on how to get it to work for Linux. ProXPN encrypts your internet connections data. So whatever's leaving and coming into your computer is being encrypted by ProXPN and their servers. And that means that your ISP or your internet service provider cannot snoop on you anymore. Right now, they're probably logging everything you do online. Your ISP is likely tracking your searches, your website visits for as long as 5 years in some cases. As soon as you start with ProXPN, which could be right now, you go to proxpn.com/FTL. If you're driving, wait till you get home or to work. But when you get to a computer terminal or you're on your phone, proxpn.com/FTL, grab their app, get it installed, and you'll be instantly protected from your ISP snooping on you. And ProXPN, by the way, does not keep records of your online surfing habits at all. So you'll instantly protect yourself at proxpn.com/FTL. Go grab the app. And when you're ready to upgrade to their premium account, which allows you to select which server around the world that you want to connect to, it also gives you unlimited bandwidth. And it's just a really handy thing to have. Plus, you can do private torrenting and other things like that with a premium account. You can get that at 20% off the price. The regular price, 20% off by using our discount code FTL20. And if you get the annual plan, that breaks the price down to $5 a month for this incredible privacy protection. Again, proxpn.com/FTL, use code FTL20. And also keep in mind that there's a risk-free 7-day money-back guarantee. You really have nothing to lose except your privacy. So don't wait. Go and grab the account tonight. You can get it for free. And then again, upgrade to the premium account with code FTL20 at proxpn.com/FTL. As we go to the phones and the fun, we've got Vince listening in Manchester, New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Vince.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
I'd like to talk about the 101 Reasons film.
Yes, this is a movie that you are the producer of. This is Vince Perfetto. He is a Free State Project participant. When did you move to New Hampshire, Vince?
August of 2010.
2010, okay.
What's your mover number?
That's not really relevant.
850. Yeah.
So you've been here for a few years. You're a liberty-loving person, and you are producing a movie with our friend Bo Davis, who actually helped me out. I produced Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, and Bo was the editor of that film. And so I know you've got good help behind the scenes on this movie. What is the 101 Reasons movie? What's your vision for it?
So the film, came up with the idea a few years ago, and basically got with Bo through the grapevine. And the idea is that if you go to the Free State Project website, you can click on 101 Reasons, and it's a big long list of 101 really cool things about New Hampshire. So kind of putting the list into video form and having some famous supporters of the FSP be in the film, basically narrating or, reading off the reasons, and then in between having people comment on some of the the different, some of their favorite reasons and some other things mixed in between.
It's very exciting. I love the idea. I think the 101 Reasons document that you're talking about, which people can go and see right now at freestateproject.org, is very persuasive. That's the reason why New Hampshire was chosen when the Free State Project was selecting, when the first 5,000 members voted on the destination state. And for our listeners that don't know, the Free State Project is the idea of moving 20,000 liberty-loving people all to the same geographic area. And New Hampshire was chosen in a vote. And it was chosen because the people who were already living here basically made a great pitch. Every state, there were of the 10 states, there was a pitch for each state. Like, here's why you should move to this state. And the people in New Hampshire came up with this list of 101 reasons. And it was so persuasive. It's been updated since then, and, kind of kept current. And so now you're looking to make a feature-length documentary film about it. Very cool. How can people help you?
So they can go to 101reasonsfilm.com. There's a donate button at the top. There's also on the right-hand column, there's a link to a U-Caring page, and also people can donate via Bitcoin. So anything helps, even if you have a little bit. But by the way, before I forget, I should thank especially 3 people who have chipped in a large amount of money already. So Carolyn Albert, really awesome Free Stater, just moved recently. She was one of the organizers of the Liberty Forum. And this gentleman, Gary Milevsky, he is the guy who actually, you were just talking about smartphones. So he's the guy behind Snoopwall, which is an app that kind of protects people from prying eyes from the government from spying on you. And then lastly, of course, Ian, you donated generously just a couple days ago. So we just want to thank you, for your generous donation.
Yeah, I know that Carolyn is great. She's a Free Talk Live listener, and as you said, a relatively new mover. I think she moved in 2013 to the Manchester area. I don't think I've met Gary yet, but it's great that people are signing on, and I have to say I was impressed. You guys were shooting at the Liberty Forum event, shooting various interviews with people kind of about the Free State Project and their experiences and thoughts, and you've just recently cut up a promo video with some of that footage in it. And how would people easily go and see that new promo video? Because it's all about the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Yeah, so that video Bo just released, and it is basically just different people commenting on PorcFest. And then, by the way, we have another video which Bo is literally uploading right now as we speak. So people should probably check our YouTube channel maybe a few hours from now. It'll be completely up. But just look for us on YouTube. It's just 101 Reasons Film. And
is it also linked to? Is your YouTube channel linked to from 101reasonsfilm.com?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. So I'm proud to be on board. I think that you guys did a great job at Liberty Forum. I was impressed with what y'all were doing, and I think that this is a movie that should be made. It'll be the second Free Stater produced documentary made here in New Hampshire, so I'm excited to be a part of it. And I know that the response to Derek J's victimless crime spree was great. I got a lot of people. Several people said to me at the Liberty Forum, me and Derek J, they said that watching Derek J's victimless crime spree was either the thing that turned them on to the Free State Project in the first place, or the thing that closed the deal for them. They saw that movie and they thought they finally decided they were going to make the move. So I'm sure your movie will have a similar effect, maybe an even more effective kind of effect on the recruitment for the Free State Project, because that's essentially what your movie will be all about.
Yeah, thank you for your support. And then just want to let everybody know that we also have, a long-term goal with this. Is going to be put out sometime in the fall of this year. So the film is not going to take very much time to do. And it should be, we're going to make a maximum impact by having like an online marketing campaign and everything. And, like you said, we interviewed a lot of people at Liberty Forum, like Amanda Billy Rock, Bill Boopert from ZeroGov, Cody Wilson, the guy who does the Liberator gun. Derek J. we interviewed as well, James Bovard, Jeff Tucker actually was in it, so a bunch of people were in it.
It's exciting. I'm glad you called tonight, Vince, to talk about it, because, again, as I said, I'm glad to be on board, and I'm sure we'll be keeping our listeners up to date as the movie comes out.
And apparently I was the first person to ever ask Jeffrey Tucker if he had signed the Free State Project Statement of Intent when I had him on my radio show last year.
And what was his answer?
His answer was, I was the first person that had ever asked him the question, and he would seriously consider it.
Excellent. Well, the more people ask, the more likely there's somebody's going to say yes. Vince, thanks for the call tonight. Keep up the great work. 101reasonsfilm.com. More coming up here in moments, in the final moments of Free Talk Live. Next.
We already have the lowest prices on flooring, but now you can save even more on every floor in our new catalog at Lumber Liquidator Spring Flooring Sale. Get the look of hardwood for 49 cents a square foot. Beautiful bamboo for just $139. Plus, get $100 to $500 off over 130 varieties of hardwood, over 50 varieties of laminate, and more. Minimum purchase applies. See store for details. We have over 350 incredibly low-priced floors, and now you can save even more. Hurry, sales going on now. Visit lumberliquidators.com or your local store today.
Now here's something you don't hear on the radio every day. Someone who can't see. I am totally blind. So I go through periods when I'm unable to sleep at night. And I feel like I'm constantly running, but can never quite catch up. But this isn't a sleep problem. It's something called non-24-hour disorder. Learn more about non-24 by calling 855-856-2424 or visiting learnmorenon24.com.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for under $30,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet under $30,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Take delivery in spring. 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live, and only moments remain, but we might be able to sneak your call in if you make it now to 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We were just talking with Vince Perfetto of the 101 Reasons film that is currently in production, all about the Free State Project, all about the 101 Reasons to Move to New Hampshire. And you can go and see them in text form right now over at freestateproject.org. That's the reason why, Daryl, you and I are here in New Hampshire. It's the reason why around 1,500 people are here in New Hampshire. It's the Free State Project. There are 15,000 who have pledged to move, over 15,000 have pledged to make the move here and get active for freedom. The idea behind the Free State Project to concentrate activists, people who love liberty, not just any old activist, but people who actually understand what the ideas of freedom mean. And that means that you should be free to live your life how you want, so long as you don't harm anybody else. If that's what you are into, if you understand that in order to be free, you have to allow other people to be free as well, then you really need to look into the Free State Project. There's nothing like this out there. I had the pleasure of being able to talk with Dayton Vowse this morning. He is one of the hosts on WYOO, one of our newer talk stations that is taking Free Talk Live in Panama City, Florida on the FM band. I talked with him for about 20 minutes this morning, and he's a libertarian talk show host who is interested in the idea of the Free State Project. And so that's what we talked about today. And the more people that can hear about this concept, the better. And that's one of the reasons why we've been talking about it for about a decade here on Free Talk Live.
15,505 signers.
Excellent. So less than 4,500 remain to make it to the goal of 20,000. And then once the Free State Project reaches its goal of 20,000, there will then be a 5-year window of time where all 20,000 have to move. So the 1,500 that are here now, we're all early movers. All the initial things that have happened here that are so exciting, and all the community that's been built, and the political wins that we've had, all of this is still early. I mean, we're still on the cusp of what will be a real exciting movement for liberty. It's already exciting. It's going to be even more so when thousands more arrive. Go and learn more about it at freestateproject.org. In fact, Abel Freeman is with us, and he's on the line via Skype, calling from New Hampshire. He's I believe, are you a Free State Project participant, Abel? I think you are.
I signed up, but I actually missed the vote.
Okay.
And I was already here. And technically, I'm actually not a participant because, I don't know, I think I dropped off the rolls as a result of not voting or
Well, there
something.
are a lot of people who are involved in the liberty movement who aren't Free Staters. They're just New Hampshire natives that love freedom, or people that have moved here prior to the Free State Project for reasons of freedom. And there's just a huge community. So the liberty community in New Hampshire is much larger than 1,500. It's probably, 3,000 or something like that at the very least. So what were you calling about tonight?
Well, some of us call us pre-staters, and I moved in 91, and my purpose was liberty activism at the time. And so basically I'm calling to talk about, we brought up earlier and I think even in earlier days about the nature of fighting traffic violations, and you kind of poo-pooed the idea that there was much success available to you there. I have to say that my experience differs from that.
Oh, great.
And that, I've been a fighter of these things, because I've been this kind of a scofflaw all of my, anti-authoritarian career.
So give me an example of a win that you've had. I mean, because I've had a win or two. I mean, I've beaten a parking ticket once, and then I also beat a speeding ticket because the cop didn't show up to testify, so I got the case tossed. But, that's more of a technicality than...
The numerous times that's occurred for me over, I'm an older gentleman, and I've been doing this for decades, and I've walked away from things,
such as?
Well, just speeding tickets, I can't give you specifics because they blend into the great past that
I understand that, but surely there's some more detail you can give us. I mean,
a lot of times the cops don't show up and they dismiss it.
Yep.
Happens. The fact is that if you show up, there's things that you can do even within the realm of working on a better.
But have you ever actually beaten a speeding ticket when the cop did show up?
I believe I have, actually. I one time they had this set up. I'll give you a specific. In Northborough, Massachusetts, I was on 290, and we were traveling along, and they had this setup where there was a bunch of cops on the side of the road. They were running the radar.
Mm-hmm.
They had one radar guy that was kind of just over the crest of a hill, and then he was like calling out up ahead.
Sure. And they're just pulling people over.
That people were getting pulled over.
Right.
And I've got all kinds of techniques for dealing with that. I mean, just right off the bat, if there's an 18-wheeler around me when I'm going by the second car that's up the way, because I see it coming. You pay attention, and you can just be on the other side of that 18-wheeler as it goes by, and they can't wave you over, come after you. They completely miss you. But in this case, I had my wife with me, I think, and my son, my baby son. Of course, that means it was 31 years ago. She, we just said that the guy that wrote the ticket wasn't the guy that saw the violation.
You said that in court.
Right. We went in, we testified, and my wife testified as a passenger in the vehicle.
And was that true? The person who wrote the ticket wasn't the person who spotted you speeding?
Well, of course not. He's sitting up the road,
It was the one where they had the one guy running radar and then calling up to
right.
it.
And they're not going to send
And you
him,
won that, and the judge found you not guilty.
Right. And the same thing goes for any kind of a plane ticket. Actually in Arizona, people just ignored these vans that were just sitting there, automated vans taking pictures of cars that were speeding by, and because they don't have the actual connection that you need to have, and they're just grabbing the ones that are easy targets that just write out the checks. And
no, I see what you're saying. You're talking about the automated speeding tickets.
There's been all kinds of successes in battling the system.
No, I'm with you, man. Like I said, I've had some successes, but I think you have to go in there expecting you're not going to win, because most of the time you don't. But if you do win most of the time, then that's really amazing, and able to look forward to recording one of your trials if you ever get a ticket here in the Keene area.
I actually have two on the agendas.
All right, man. Best of luck. Thanks for the call tonight. Let's go to Greg. He's in Georgia. You're on Free Talk Live, Greg.
How you doing?
Hey, Greg, go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure, go ahead with your thoughts.
The question that I have is with regard to the present state of the prison industrial complex here in Georgia, whereas the state of Georgia makes more money off the prisons than any other industry here in Georgia, with the exception of agriculture.
Yep.
Also, as a result of that, you have a lot of people who, after they come out of prison, are unable to get gainful employment, by virtue of the fact of their conviction. And it ties into what I've heard you talking about with regard to the concentration camps, because the prisons are considered concentration camps by warehousing the people. As a result, now we've got this immigration reform, and you've got people who are breaking the law, and they're going to be given this sort of amnesty, and they're going to be given rights that people who get out of prison aren't even going to be able to access.
I think that, first of all, Greg, I wish we had more time to get into this in detail, but I think that people who are in prison or jail who have not harmed others should not be there. And I think that, first of all, people aren't given rights by governments. You have rights by virtue of the fact that you're a human being, and so that means everyone has the same rights, whether they are behind bars or whether they're an immigrant or whether they were born on a certain plot of land. And I think that people should not go to a prison cell if they have not harmed others. And again, I wish we could talk further with you, but call another night and call closer to the beginning of the show, and we'll get you on for a further discussion discussion of this issue. Thanks for the call. It has been Ian here with you.
And Daryl.
Check out Daryl's website, fpp.cc. I will not be back tomorrow, but Free Talk Live will continue to be live. We've got a live Sunday edition of the program. I believe Stephanie and Brian will be back from Austin as well, and so they'll be taking over the airwaves here on Free Talk Live tomorrow night since Mark is out of town. We'll see you tomorrow online. In the meantime, freetalklive.com. Have a great weekend.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
The live edition of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Friday, March 7, 2014. Gold opened today at $1,343, while silver opened at $21.20, and Bitcoin is trading at $633.81. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from Affordable Sound, CD and DVD duplication, along with distribution and promotion for your musical or visual needs. Online at affordablesound.com or call them at 512-459-5253. Support also comes from Sovereign BTC, media, marketing, and consulting for the Bitcoin ecosystem. Online at sovereignbtc.com. And from The Corey Moore Show, live Friday nights, 9 o'clock Central at CoreyMooreShow.com. The man alleged by Newsweek to be the creator of Bitcoin is denying that allegation. Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto talked to KABC TV and vehemently denied the charge.
I have nothing to do with Bitcoin. I never worked for the company. I don't know any people there. I never created a code. I never created a concept.
The denial, without any additional proof other than the claims in the Newsweek article, means the mystery remains unsolved. Japan is struggling to create a response to the popularity